To one and all present here, I, Sugandha Verma, Manager Personnel, we welcome you, sir. Thank you for your presence. Thank you so much, sir, for sparing your valuable time. We welcome you, Director, Materials and Contract, CIL. Today is the second day, and on this second day, I request CVO CIL, Shri Brijesh Kumar Tripathi, sir, to kindly come to the podium and address the gathering.
Respected Chief Technical Examiner, Chief Central Vigilance Commissioner, New Delhi, Ashok Kumar Saab, ED Mr. Sharma ji, ED Sharma, ED Ma'am Kamakshi Raman, CVO CMPDI सुमित जी, मेरे ट्रेनिंग के लिए जो आए हुए हैं सीनियर ऑफिसर्स डिफरेंट सब्सिडरीज के, मेरे यंग ऑफिसर्स मैनेजमेंट ट्रेनिंग जो अभी रिसेंटली ज्वाइन किए हैं, लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन, मेरी पिछले 6 महीना से इच्छा थी कि हम अशोक कुमार साहब को IICM में कैसे लेके आएं. वी आर लकी टुडे एंड जो हमारे ट्रेनिंग ऑफिसर हैं और मैनेजमेंट ट्रेनिंग जो ऑफिसर्स हैं और IICM भी लकी है कि आज हम लोग वो दिन सफल कर पाए. हम लोग अशोक कुमार साहब को अपने यहाँ बुला के लाए. थैंक यू सर फॉर एक्सेप्टिंग आवर इन्विटेशन. और सबसे ज़्यादा खुशी कोई है तो हमारे चेयरमैन CIL हैं. उनकी बहुत इच्छा थी कि हम लोग टेक्निकल मैटर का जो ट्रेनिंग हो तो सिटी साहब को कैसे रिक्वेस्ट किया जाए, कैसे बुलाया जाए. थैंक यू सर फॉर कमिंग हियर सर. ये हमारा 3rd मंथ है ट्रेनिंग का. हम लोग सर मैराथन ट्रेनिंग कर रहे हैं. मैराथन ट्रेनिंग हमने इसलिए नाम दिया था इसका कि हमारा CIL का सब्सिडरी है, CIL है, फिर सब्सिडरी है, फिर एरिया ऑफिस है, और जो भी हम ट्रेनिंग एक सब्जेक्ट पकड़ते हैं और ट्रेनिंग हर लेवल में कराते हैं. और कोल इंडिया बहुत बड़ा कंपनी है सर. इसके अराउंड 2.4 लाख हमारे एम्प्लॉई और ऑफिसर्स मिला करके हैं. पूरा कई सारे स्टेट्स में फैला हुआ है. हमारा प्रोडक्शन मोर देन 773 मिलियन मैट्रिक टन का है. अर्निंग हम लोग सर 1.5 साल पहले जब मैं ज्वाइन किया था तो अराउंड 17,000 करोड़ था. लास्ट ईयर हमारा अर्निंग 27,000 करोड़ हो गया. इस साल हम लोग 37,000 करोड़ पार कर गए हैं. मतलब हम ऐसे कंपनी में हैं जहां 2 साल के कम समय में हम लोग 2.5 गुना अर्निंग को इंक्रीज कर रहे हैं. सर मुझको आज ये बताते हुए खुशी हो रही है कि PMO के अंदर में n नंबर ऑफ मंत्रालय है. 1 अप्रैल को यानी 31 मार्च जब कंप्लीट हुआ, 1 अप्रैल को ऑनरेबल PM ने एकमात्र ट्वीट किया था. वो ट्वीट था कोल मंत्रालय का. वो था हमारे अचीवमेंट का ट्वीट था. सर कोल और लिग्नाइट जो कोल मंत्रालय के अंदर में आता है, ये दोनों मिलाकर के 1000 मिलियन मैट्रिक टन हम लोग पार किए थे इस साल. वो हम वी आर रियली प्राउड कि हमारा PMO से एकमात्र ट्वीट होता है 1 अप्रैल को, वो हमारे मंत्रालय का होता है. सर हमारा कोल मंत्रालय में हम लोग सर पिछले विजिलेंस अवेयरनेस वीक में एक और हम लोग बहुत बड़ा अचीवमेंट किए थे. ऑनरेबल CVC सर को यहाँ बुलाए थे. ये पहली बार हिस्ट्री में हुआ था कि विजिलेंस अवेयरनेस वीक पीरियड में ऑनरेबल CVC दिल्ली से बाहर गए हो. वी आर लक्की कि हम लोग विजिलेंस अवेयरनेस वीक पीरियड में उनको बुलाए थे. उन्होंने जब उनको हम लोग इन्वाइट किए तो उनको लग रहा था कि कोल इंडिया ऐसे ही कोई कंपनी होगी. फिर हम लोगों ने कुछ डाटा दिया, साहब ने कुछ अपना उसका स्टडी किए, तो उन्होंने आकर के हमारे जब चेयरमैन CIL और डायरेक्टर्स एंड और सीनियर मैनेजमेंट ऑफिसर्स को जब इस तरह से एड्रेस कर रहे थे, तब वो हमको बताए कि त्रिपाठी जी आपकी कंपनी तो बहुत बड़ी कंपनी है, फिर उन्होंने ये भी बताया कि जहाँ भी देखिए, कोई ब्रिक हो, स्टील हो, सीमेंट हो, इवन आप जो शर्ट पहन रहे हैं, आपका कोयला जाता है, पावर बनता है, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बनता है, मशीन चलता है, आपका कोयला जाता है, ब्रिक बनता है, आपका कोयला जाता है, स्टील बनता है, सीमेंट बनता है। यानी आपके बिना देश का विकास संभव नहीं है। आप बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट जॉब कर रहे हैं। आप एनर्जी सिक्योरिटी प्रोवाइड कर रहे हैं, नेशनल सिक्योरिटी प्रोवाइड कर रहे हैं। तो मैंने बताया कि सर, यदि देश का विकास है तो उसके रास्ते के एक हम दीपक हैं, बिजली बल्ब हमारे चलते ही चलता है। बोले नहीं, जिस तरह से आपका डेवलपमेंट है, जिस तरह का आपका कंट्रीब्यूशन है, आप सब लोग सुनिएगा, यदि हम देश के विकास को एक स्ट्रक्चर माने तो कोल इंडिया उस स्ट्रक्चर का नींव है, फाउंडेशन है। इस तरह से जब ऑनरेबल सीवीसी हमारे बारे में हमको बताए, तब हमको भी महसूस हुआ कि हम लोग इस डायरेक्शन में कभी सोचे नहीं थे। वी आर सर्विंग इन सच ए ग्रेट वे सर। हम लोग अभी फॉरेन ग्लोबल की तरफ भी जा रहे हैं। रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट में विजन 2047 के हम लोग जब डिस्कशन कुछ दिन पहले किए थे, तो ये रहा कि पॉल्यूशन वाली जब बात आती है तो हाँ, हम लोग कहीं ना कहीं कमजोर पड़ जाते हैं। तो हमको अपना मोड ऑफ प्रोडक्शन, मोड ऑफ इसमें चेंज करना पड़ेगा। हम अपना कुछ स्कीम भी चेंज करेंगे सर, सोलर की तरफ जाए, चाहे जिस तरह से करें, ये हम करेंगे। दूसरा हम एक और बताएं, सीटीई चीफ टेक्निकल एग्जामिनर होता क्या है। यदि विजिलेंस से रिलेटेड हमारे राष्ट्र का सबसे ऊंचा संस्था यदि है तो वो है हमारा सीबीसी। सीबीसी के सबसे हेड जो होते हैं वो सेंट्रल विजिलेंस कमिश्नर होते हैं। उनके अंदर जो भी टेक्निकल चीजें जो डील करने होती है, जो उनका दाहिना हाथ है, वो सीटीई होते हैं। हमारे अशोक कुमार साहब प्रोक्योरमेंट से रिलेटेड, मटेरियल से रिलेटेड जो भी एडवाइस देना होता है सीबीसी की तरफ से, वो साहब ही करते हैं। आज हम प्रोक्योरमेंट से रिलेटेड ट्रेनिंग में हैं और ऐसे मौके पर अशोक कुमार साहब का आना ये रियली गर्व की बात है। यदि कोई विजिलेंस वाले 99% मेहनत करते हैं उस सिस्टम इम्प्रूवमेंट के लिए, हम सिस्टम इम्प्रूवमेंट बनाते हैं, कहीं सिस्टम में कुछ लूप होले तो उसको इम्प्रूव करते हैं, वो हम लोग कमीशन भेजते हैं। वो सीबीसी में जब उसका एग्जामिन होता है तो फाइनल अप्रूवल जो सिस्टम इम्प्रूवमेंट का आता है वो सीटी साहब की तरफ से आता है। इतना बड़ा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, इतना बड़ा पोस्ट है सीटीई का। सीटीई का ही है जो इंटायर नेशन, चाहे वो कोई भी स्टेट का हो, चाहे कोई भी पीएसयू हो, कोई भी मंत्रालय हो, ऐसे ऐसे आपका हमारे जैसे वो सारे मंत्रालय के एकमात्र सीटी होते हैं। पूरा इंडिया भर को उनको देखना होता है। रियली इट इज प्राउड मोमेंट फॉर अस। सर, विजिलेंस अवेयरनेस वीक को हम एक और अचीवमेंट किए थे। जो कारगिल वार हुआ था इंडिया पाकिस्तान का, उस समय जो जनरल थे, फॉर्मर चीफ ऑफ आर्मी स्टाफ जनरल बीपी मलिक साहब को हम लोग इन्वाइट किए थे। उस मोमेंट को हम लोग याद कर रहे हैं। कोई आदमी यदि पाकिस्तान को पानी पिलाया हो, कारगिल वार में हम लोग कैसे जीते थे आप सबको पता है, उस आदमी को जब हम इन्वाइट किए, जो आदमी विनर है वो अपने बारे में आकर के जब बताया, आपके बारे में जब आपके बारे में बताया, कोल इंडिया के बारे में बताया, उन्होंने हमको ये बताया सर कि कोविड पीरियड में उन्होंने आर्मी से कंपेयर किया कि हमारे कोल इंडियन का क्या किस तरह से वर्किंग है। कोविड पीरियड में सर पूरा दुनिया में विपत्ति आई थी, घर में सब लोग दुबका हुआ था, आदमी से डरा हुआ था। उस पीरियड में मैंने सिचुएशन ऐसी हो गई कि फादर का डेड बॉडी पड़ा हुआ है, बेटा लेने से मना कर रहा है। लेकिन जरा इमेजिन कीजिए, इंडिया का किसी भी कोना में कोई एक भी स्ट्रीट लाइट ऑफ हुआ। आप यंग ब्लड है, उनको भी सोचिए, 2 साल पीछे जाइए, बताइए कोई एक लिफ्ट रहा जो पावर क्राइसिस के चलते बंद हुआ हो। कहीं भी कभी भी कोई शिकायत नहीं आई कि इलेक्ट्रिसिटी के प्रॉब्लम के चलते कभी प्रॉब्लम हुआ। वो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी या वो पावर वो कहाँ से आया? जब हम उसको कोल सप्लाई किए। सर, उस विपत्ति काल में भी हर कोल इंडियन अपनी जान की परवाह किए बिना, अपने फैमिली का जान का परवाह किए बिना वो निकला, जाके माइन में काम किया, तब हम देश का उस विपत्ति काल में सुरक्षा कर पाए। जनरल बीपी मलिक साहब ने बताया, यदि आर्मी का कंट्रीब्यूशन यदि महान है तो आपका भी कंट्रीब्यूशन कम नहीं है। नेचर ऑफ जॉब आपका जो है वो बहुत अच्छा है। एक और मुझको खुशी हो रही बताते हुए, सर लास्ट 2 ईयर से हम लोग डबल डिजिट ग्रोथ अचीव कर रहे हैं। लास्ट ईयर तो ऐसा हुआ था कि 16 साल तक जो भी आपका टारगेट मिल रहा था तो हम लोग टारगेट पूरा नहीं कर पा रहे थे। टारगेट हमेशा बढ़ा के ले जाता है, लेकिन बिकॉज ऑफ माई कोल इंडियन दिन रात मेहनत किया उन लोगों ने, सिस्टम को बनाया, आईटी का यूज किया, क्या क्या नहीं उन्होंने किया, और 16 साल के बाद लास्ट ईयर वाला हम लोग टारगेट पूरा किए सर। वो इंक्रीज टारगेट जो भी इंक्रीज अचीवमेंट, उसके ऊपर भी 10% और इंक्रीमेंट करके इस साल का टारगेट हमने अचीव किया। मतलब कोल इंडिया, यदि कोई आदमी आज से 10 साल पहले या 5 साल पहले ये टारगेट रखा है कि हम हर घर में बिजली पहुंचाएंगे, चाहे हमारा इस तरह का डेवलपमेंट हो रहा है, हम इतना जाएंगे, तो उस समय उनको जरूर आपके ऊपर भरोसा है, हमारे ऊपर भरोसा है कि हाँ कुछ भी हम प्लान कर लें, ये है कोल इंडिया है, हमको साथ देगा। पूरे यदि इंडिया का या वर्ल्ड के हिसाब से हम देखें तो हम लोग बहुत छोटा है। हम कोल इंडियन एक नन्हा दिया है। हम लोग नेशन को, अपने राष्ट्र को, अपने एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन को, अपने गवर्नमेंट को बताते हैं कि आप कोई भी टारगेट फिक्स कीजिए, हम हैं, हमारे हम पर भरोसा रखिए, हम लोग हैं। मैं एक नन्हा सा दिया हूँ, जलता रहूंगा घर द्वार पर, चाहे कोई भी कोना हो, हर कोने पर हम हैं, क्या तो वहाँ जलेंगे। मैं एक नन्हा सा दिया हूँ, जलता रहूंगा घर द्वार पर, हर द्वार पर। तुम अंधेरों को दो चुनौती, तुम अंधेरों को दो चुनौती, मेरे एतवार पर, मेरे एतवार पर। सर ये ट्रेनिंग हम लोग क्यों कर रहे हैं? सर 2022 के जुलाई में जब सारा डीओई ने मेन मैनुअल्स थे उसको अपडेट कर दिया और सारे पीएसयू को बोला कि आप अपना भी मैनुअल इसी अनुसार से मॉडिफाई कर लीजिए। हम लोग सर, जब मैं ज्वाइन किया नवंबर में, दिसंबर में जब आपके यहाँ गया तो आपके एडवाइस से हमारा कोल इंडिया ही पहला, वन ऑफ द फर्स्ट पीएसयू था जो अपना सारा मैनुअल को अपडेट कर दिया। जब मैनुअल चेंज हो गया, रूल चेंज हो गया, अब हमारी ड्यूटी बनती है कि वो अपडेटेड मैनुअल को, अपडेटेड रूल को हर आदमी तक, नीचे तक पहुंचाए। फिर जब सीबीसी आए तो फिर फर्दर और भी कुछ चेंजेस था, वो भी हम लोग किए। और पिछले 1 साल थ्रू आउट हम लोग ट्रेनिंग करते रहे, सब करते रहे। इस साल मार्च पीरियड जब खत्म हुआ उसके बाद हम लोग मैराथन ट्रेनिंग शुरू किया है सर। हमने एक थीम बनाया है, इग्नोरेंस ऑफ लॉ इज नो एक्सक्यूज। आप सबको याद रखना पड़ेगा, कोल इंडिया इतना अच्छा हो चुका है कि अब लॉ को आप इग्नोर करेंगे तो कोई बर्दाश्त नहीं करेगा। इग्नोरेंस रूल को बर्दाश्त नहीं करेगा, रूल का वायलेशन नहीं होना चाहिए। इस पैटर्न में तब कब होगा? जब आप ट्रेंड होंगे, आप कॉन्फिडेंट होंगे, आपको एक्सपीरियंस मिलेगा, जब ट्रेनिंग मिलेगा, नॉलेज जब होगा तो आप गलती नहीं करेंगे। इसलिए ट्रेनिंग जरूरी है। और कोल इंडिया इतना बड़ा है कि जो एसेट है हमारे लिए, जो स्टॉलवर्ड है, उनको हम बुला करके ट्रेनिंग में इन्वाइट करते हैं, आपको बोलते हैं, आपको पढ़ाएंगे, बताएंगे। जब दुनिया का किसी का नजर है तो सर हिंदुस्तान के ऊपर है, और हिंदुस्तान की नजर आपके ऊपर है। आपके ऊपर नजर रखा हुआ है कि कैसे हम कोई भी काम करना है, डेवलप करना है, तो कोल इंडिया ये साथ देगा तो हम इसमें आगे बढ़ते जाएंगे। तो इसलिए हमको कहीं से भी कमजोर नहीं होना है। सर 26 जनवरी का जो भाषण था हमारे, जो चेयरमैन साहब ने दिया था, लास्ट लाइन आप सब लोग सुनिएगा। उन्होंने लिखा था, कोल इंडिया को मूल्यवान कंपनी से मूल्यों का कंपनी बनाना है। आज सिटी सीबीसी आए हैं, उनके सामने मैं ये भी बता सकता हूं कि जब ऊपर से नीचे तक मैनेजमेंट का सबका एक ही मंशा है कि उसको मूल्यों का कंपनी बनाना है। मूल्यवान कंपनी से मूल्यों का कंपनी बनाना है, हमारे चेयरमैन साहब का ये है। तो हम लोग कहीं से गलती नहीं करेंगे, हमेशा अपना ऑनेस्टी के साथ काम करेंगे, इंटीग्रिटी को मेंटेन करके रखेंगे, तो हम लोग इसमें सफल हो पाएंगे। आईटी का भरपूर यूज हो रहा है सर। कोल इंडिया फुल्ली तरह से मैकेनाइज हो चुका है। एक पीस ऑफ कोल भी हम लोग अब आज मैनुअल नहीं करते हैं, और जिस तरह से काम कर रहे हैं हम लोग, उस तरह से कुछ दिन के बाद फुली डिजिटाइज हो जाएंगे। और जब डिजिटाइज हो जाएंगे तो अपने आप करप्शन हो या वर्किंग हो, कहीं से भी निगेटिविटी नहीं आएगी। सर, सेक्रेटरी कोल का क्लियर कट अनाउंसमेंट है कि यदि कोई भी आईटी का यूज करने में, आईटी को इम्प्लीमेंट करने में बाधा डाल रहा है, तो वो आदमी हमारे कंपनी का दुश्मन है, उस पर विजिलेंस केस होना चाहिए। आप ऐसा मानसा से काम कीजिए। वो सारे सीबीओ हम लोग बुलाए थे दिल्ली में, उन्होंने बुला करके ये बात बताया था। और ट्रेनिंग जो खास करके प्रोक्योरमेंट के लिए है, मैं रेलवे ऑफिसर हूँ, मैं देखा जहाँ भी हो, यदि हमारा कॉन्ट्रैक्टर फेल हुआ, मटेरियल सप्लाई में फेल हुआ, तो हम फेल हो गए। जिस मोटिव के साथ कोल इंडिया डेवलप कर रहा है, हमारा नेशन डेवलप कर रहा है, कहीं से भी फेलियर हम एक्सेप्ट नहीं कर सकते हैं। तो इसीलिए कहीं भी टेंडर अवार्ड से हो, चाहे मैनुअल का हो, कहीं भी हमसे गलती ना हो, ताकि कोई कॉन्ट्रैक्टर हमसे आर्बिट्रेशन में फ़ायदा उठा सके या काम ना हो। एक और हमने सर रिसेंटली हमने एडवाइस किया है अपने चेयरमैन साहब को कि यदि कोई आदमी ट्रेनिंग नहीं किया है तो उसको सेंसिटिव पोस्ट पे पोस्टिंग नहीं करना है। ये उनका जो बॉस है, उनकी जिम्मेदारी बनती है कि उनका जो स्टाफ है उनको जो है। तो हम जो सेशन हमारा स्टार्ट हुआ कल से, इसकी ट्रेनिंग का सक्सेस हो, इसकी आशा करते हैं। और थैंक यू सर अगेन, वंस अगेन, एंड थैंक यू IICM। IICM के बारे में सर मैं हमेशा ये बोलता हूँ, हमारा IICM एक अलग एसेट है। ये बाकी PSU में ऐसा नहीं मिलेगा आपको कि एक स्पेशल इतना बड़ा स्ट्रक्चर हो, इतना बड़ा एसेट हो, इतना बड़ा सेटअप हो, जहाँ खाली ट्रेनिंग होता हो। हमारे पास CMPDI है, हमारे पास IICM है। तो हमेशा मैं ये बोलता हूँ, किसी पिक्चर में डायलॉग था ना कि मेरे पास गाड़ी है, बंगलो है, बैंक बैलेंस है, पता नहीं क्या क्या सब इसमें बोलता है, और एक बोलता है कि मेरे पास माँ है। वैसे ही ये बात सर CBC को भी पता है, बाकी भी सबों को पता है कि आपके पास तो IICM है, इसीलिए आप मैराथन ट्रेनिंग करा लेते हैं, आपको जो चाहते हैं करा लेते हैं। थैंक यू मैडम एंड योर टीम कि आप लोगों ने एक्सेप्ट किया और हमारा ट्रेनिंग कराया। थैंक यू वंस अगेन।
I believe that corruption has been one of the major obstacles to economic, political and social progress of our country. I believe that all stakeholders such as government, citizen and private sector need to work together to eradicate corruption. I realize that every citizen should be vigilant and commit to highest standards of honesty and integrity at all times and support the fight against corruption. I therefore pledge to follow probity and rule of law in all walks of life. To neither take nor offer bribe. To perform all tasks in an honest and transparent manner. To act in public interest. To lead by example, exhibiting integrity in personal behaviors. To report any incident of corruption to the appropriate agency. Thank you.
है कि हमारे देश की आर्थिक, राजनीतिक तथा सामाजिक प्रगति में भ्रष्टाचार एक बड़ी बाधा है। मेरा विश्वास है कि भ्रष्टाचार का उन्मूलन करने के लिए सभी संबंधित पक्षों जैसे सरकार, नागरिकों तथा निजी क्षेत्रों को एक साथ मिलकर कार्य करने की आवश्यकता है। मेरा मानना है कि प्रत्येक नागरिक को सतर्क होना चाहिए तथा उसे सदैव ईमानदारी तथा सत्यनिष्ठा के उच्चतम मानकों के प्रति वचनबद्ध होना चाहिए तथा भ्रष्टाचार के विरुद्ध संघर्ष में साथ देना चाहिए। अतः मैं प्रतिज्ञा करता हूं कि जीवन के सभी क्षेत्रों में ईमानदारी तथा कानून के नियमों का पालन करूंगा, ना तो रिश्वत लूंगा और ना ही रिश्वत दूंगा। सभी कार्य ईमानदारी तथा पारदर्शी रीति से करूंगा, जनहित में कार्य करूंगा। अपने निजी आचरण में ईमानदारी दिखाकर उदाहरण प्रस्तुत करूंगा। भ्रष्टाचार की किसी भी घटना की रिपोर्ट उचित एजेंसी को दूंगा। धन्यवाद।
Of IICM, CVO Coal India Limited, CVO CMPDI, and all senior dignitaries and all graduate engineers trainees and those who are doing the mid-career training. This capacity building is very important, and from perspective of participative as well as the preventive vigilance, the understanding of the rules and procedures related to the public procurements and new methodology of public procurement is very important. And for that matter, we have gathered here. In fact, the Commission's emphasis is to have a capacity building among all stakeholders. Not only even the executive, as well as you should be interacting with the different stakeholders, maybe the private concerns also, because they are also ignorant of the rules and procedures. And it so happens that so many complaints and frivolous complaints come into the pictures, and that creates a problem for the executive also. So wherever you have an interaction, where you have the opportunity, please consult, have a gathering with your stakeholder also. So they should be also told about the rules, regulations and procedures. And apart from this public procurement, why is so important? Because public procurement is a state function. Basically, we are doing the state function, and because of that we are delivering to the societies, and if the society is not coming up well and they are not getting the fruits of this deliverance, then that creates a problem, and that creates a problem, in fact gives a different pictures among the other stakeholders. So that's why this capacity building is important. And just I heard that the Coal India is on the trajectory, and it's on exponential trajectory. So for that you are being congratulated, and it's my good wishes that Coal India should do well for nation building, and nation is growing. So that is very important for all of us. So not taking much just this type of discussion, I'd be coming upon the technical session. This technical session is also emphasis of the commissions, and in fact the commission as a run-up program for Vigilance Awareness Week 2023 as well as the run-up program Vigilance Awareness Week 2024 that would be done. So that we are also doing. In fact, you must be aware of the best practices we have asked from the different organizations, and some of the CVOs and all organizations has given the different best practices based on the information technology and the portals. And the one booklet that has appeared in the Vijayvani, this was done in the last year. And in fact, we are also going to have a run-up one-day workshop on these workshops. So some of the topics have been selected, and selection has been done based on the whatever has been done included in the VAW 2023 Vijayvani. And in fact, there would be presenting organizations and associate presenters, and then the officials from the different organization would be called, and this is on 2nd August. So subsequently it will be intimated to the higher ups, and they would be sending their officials out there. So now coming to the public procurement, why public procurement is so important. So my presentation of today's would be in this fashion. So first I will be discussing about the chief technical examiners organizations, and then what are the rules and policies, manual procedure related to public procurement, and what are the risks, because whenever you do something the risk is already there, so how it could be mitigated. So risk mitigation is very important. And then definitely I will be discussing about the case studies, and wherever I have gone people just want to understand the first case study, but since you are getting inducted into the management, so first you understand the rules and procedures and then you act upon that. So in this fashion I will be presenting my discussion, and session will be going in this direction. So first I will tell you about the CTO organization. This is very quite old organization, 1957, and it was for auditing financial and technical scrutiny of the CPWD works. And after that, then when commission came into existence, then this CTO organizations was made part of the Central Vigilance Commission. So the status of the CTO is co-terminus. So jurisdiction of the CTO is also co-terminus. Co-terminus means wherever the jurisdiction of the CVC goes, the jurisdiction of CTO is there. Now, at present, this is the organization structures. This will be awareness for all of you, because why CT is so important or CTO is so important. So this is the structure. At present, there are two CTs. One looks after the procurement matter related to the civil and horticulture works, and another looks after the procurement of electrical, mechanical, goods, services, IT, so many things, IT related procurements, and they are assisted by technical examiners, assistant technical examiners and junior technical examiners. In between, if you want to ask questions, you can interrupt me also. It should not be monologue from my side. Now the role and functions of CTO, this is what we call it intensive examinations. So this intensive examinations, you are just generating so many contracts, but those contracts, if a certain threshold value is coming to us, to the Central Vigilance Commission in form of quarterly progress report, and the focal point is the CVO of your organization. And sometime advice from the commission is also given from the commission side, that this is the procurement case, this is to be examined by CTOs. In fact, sometimes the commission also asks on the policy matters related to the public procurement. So we are concerned with the public procurement, and the specific issues, if there is there, then it should be, generally it is asked from the CTOs. And sharing of knowledge and experience based on the so many intensive examinations, and we are sharing the, in fact, so many cases also in front of you. So this type of seminar is organized, and what your CBO said, that this is a marathon training. Marathon is a marathon, you all know in which context it is done. For me, marathon is that, in fact, the last week I was taking classes in Ministry of Education in the Habitat Center. Then it was the CVO induction program. Then, in fact, the 28th it should be in NIFM, but since I have come here, so another CT will go and take the classes. So many classes we take, we visit to the CVI academies where so many inducted officers are getting trained on the public procurement. In fact, we are taking the classes on Interpol also, because they want what are the red flags, what are the things they should go into the public procurement, and based on that how fraud can be detected. So your understanding should be what are the red flags. As an executive, you should also understand what are the red flags in public procurement, and it's not that there are red flags so it could be lead to the fraud. No. So red flag to be understood in a different context, and that is to be considered and first understood in form of the different rules and procedures. Now, what are the purpose of intensive examination? Intensive examinations, when it is done, then first we ask for your procurement manuals, whether your manuals are updated or not. What your CVO has said that you have already aligned your procurement manual based on the DO circulars and guidelines. So, my submission to all of you that please go through those procurement manuals, how it functions, how you are traveling in the procurement cycles, how events are different packages in the procurement. Then is there any non-compliance to the tender conditions, NIT conditions? If that is there, whether it has been mitigated in your decision stage or not, that is to be recorded. Then if execution is going on, then if there is a non-compliance of statutory requirement, that is to be arrested immediately. Then comes the quality compromises, because many cases we have seen the work has come up to the final end, but the quality is not up to the mark. Quality could be anything. So what is benchmark? Your benchmark in terms of the specification, in terms of the contract provisions, whether that has been followed during the execution or not, that is what the quality compromises is there. Whether overpayment has been made. If sometimes so happens that you have made overpayment, but if it's detected, then this is to be immediately recovered, because this is the outgo from exchequer. And during the course of intensive examinations, if there are many systemic improvement, that is to be enforced, because this will be guiding factor, that will be the lesson learned from your earlier understanding of the execution of the different procurement contracts. Now, this quarterly progress report is furnished by CVOs. So regularly we are getting heaps of the documents in form of quarterly progress report. And from there, as a thumb rule, we are selecting some of the cases. And the thumb rule could be, if there are so many complaints are coming from one organization, so definitely that organization's contract is selected, and that become a management by sample. So we are selecting one contract, but this contract, after making a reports, observations, this could be a guiding factor for all of you. And in fact, we are interacting with the CVOs. We are not interacting with the executives, because CVO would be interacting with you and they would be taking the informations and then sending to the Central Vigilance Commission, to the CTOB. And generally, this is the large value contract. There is a threshold, but above threshold, you are sending the QPR in summarized form, detail of the contracts in summarized form. And sometimes so happens that the certain complaints goes directly to the commission. Commission means Central Vigilance Commissioner. Vigilance Commissioner at present it's consisting of 3 members: Central Vigilance Commissioner, and another Vigilance Commissioner. So they are ordering that this case to be investigated. Sometimes so happens the CVO also writes to us that they are not in a position to check the quality issues or to give or maybe some ideas is coming. So they are directly writing to us also. But generally when work is getting executed, generally they write. And depending upon the nature of the contracts, that case is also selected. Otherwise, we also request CVO that you also use the independent engineers. They would be giving you different process ahead, how to go ahead. Okay, so this is done. Now this is the threshold value, although it looks very small, but generally the intensive examination is done maybe 100 crores, 200 crores, 500 crores, we have done 21,000 crores also, but this is the threshold value and this is coming to us. Why this is so? Because below that this is the duty of the CVO to do CT type inspection. So they are doing the CT type inspection, and this covers all sorts of contract, civil, turnkey, maybe related to the stores purchases, the goods procurement, and PPP projects, then sales of, in fact, auctions, contracts. Whenever you are doing the auctions, that also becomes a contract that is also to be investigated, to be examined in fact. And then related to the electrical, mechanical, electronics, IT procurement, then even procurement of medical equipments, then consultancy, non-consultancy, everything. So everything will fall into this categories, even procurement of medicines also. Because sometimes we are doing some of the restrictive clauses we are doing. So these are the, this threshold is where you are sending the, CVOs are sending the QPR to the commission. Now, after doing intensive examination, this report is prepared. And this preparation starts at the T level. So this is what it is, the desk review. Initially the contract is selected, getting it approved by the commission, and after that the technical team calls for the so many documents from the organization side, and after that review is done at the desk level reviews, and after that they visit to the site also, and after they are making the technical examination report, there is a fixed format, and this format is many details are there. Then in fact it speaks for the organization philosophy also, that how organization has developed, and then observations are made. So many observations are made, but observations are made maybe because certain documents are deficient, and then this is sent to the, this is approved by the CTs, and then after approval of the CTs, then it is synopsis is put up to the commission. And then commission approves the, peruse the synopsis, and then it is forwarded to the final report, that is called intensive examination report, that is forwarded to the CVO and to the head of organization. For us, the focal point would be the CVO. Now, once it is sent to the CVOs, then CVO just scrutinizes the reports, and after scrutiny of the reports, they discuss with the management, and after getting the reply from the management, it is sent back to the CT organizations for understanding with respect to the observations. So this observation could be different fashion. The first observation could be that whether your procurement manual is in line with the DOE circular or Government of India circular or not, and whether you have made a specific procurement manual with respect to the certain conditions. Then after examination, the rejoinder is issued from the CTO side if it's not satisfied at our end, and then again CVOs talk to the management, then they give the reply. So back and forth, so many replies comes. And in cases where there is a quality deficiency, where there is a recoveries, that is to be one-stop solutions, that quality to be removed, then quality to be improved, and if recovery is to be done, this is to be done. So final documents is to be submitted by the CVO to our organizations. And from where they are getting the documents is based on your documents, the executive documents. And then after that, the closure of intensive examination is done. The different paragraphs are closed, but out of these paragraphs, certain paragraphs are very irregular in nature, and that lead to the vigilance paragraphs. And this is after taking approval of the commission, this is sent to the branch of the vigilance branch of the commission, and then this becomes a vigilance case, and that case file generates, and then there are so many methodology that is done, interaction with the CVOs. And these are the time schedule. This is written in the manual also, and there are, if you just count it, it would be the 8 months but hardly any intensive examination report is closed because so many things are seen. The first is the systemic improvement, whether the deficiency has been rectified, whether recovery has been closed or not, and if there is a vigilance para, then this becomes closed at our end, but this is open at the vigilance side. So these are the time schedule. Now, from the CBO point of view, what the duties are CBO are those who are from the vigilance organizations. So their duties is that they should submit the quarterly progress report, then documents and informations. Whenever the TEs goes to the intensive examination at the site, they should be supported by the manpower. And clarification has been asked, then this is to be given from the organization side. Then if there is any vigilance investigation required, then this is to be converted as a vigilance para. Then the role of CBO is very important at that end. Now, these are what we discuss: defects, rectification, recoveries, and presence of official connected with the procurement cases. Now, this is called CT type intensive examination. In fact, Commission has mandated the CBOs are also supposed to do examination in line with what the CT has done, and this is below, like whatever we have done. You select the sum of the cases which are different in nature, and these are high value 2 contracts, then 2 contracts of medium value, another 2 contracts of small values, because they are experts in their organizations. CTs are taking so many organizations. We are doing for the banking, we are doing for the coal, to the steel, to the IT sector, to the railways, CPWD, so many things are there. But your CBO is, and CBO of the organization is focused on the organization activities. That's why they are supposed to do 6 contracts intensive examination in a year. And if there are observations, then these observations to be closed at their end, and if they find any irregularity, then they should take the FSA of the Commission, first stage advice of the Commission. Okay, if it's the vigilance, prima facie vigilance involvement is there. Now, what are the aspects covered? This is the availability of updated procurement manual, then feasibility report, detailed project report, need assessment in the worst contracts. This is done, but in the goods procurement is the need assessment that is done. Terms of reference in the consultancy contract, what are the time frame, what are the terms mentioned in the consultancy, that is to be done. Then of course administrative approval, expenditure sanction, then procurement of consultancy services and operation of consultancy contracts. So these are the aspects that is seen during the intensive examinations. Then whether the terms and conditions, including the technical specification in the tender document, is adequate or not. If there is a deficiency, suppose you have not put the penalty clause in the tender documents, then if you want to impose the penalty clause subsequently, hardly you can impose the penalty on the contractor who are defaulting. Then which type of pre-bid conference you have done, whether record is available in the documents or not. Then invitation of tender and award during stages, what procedures you have followed, that is also examined. Then issue related to operation of the contracts. Now after just telling about regarding intensive examination and the function of CTOs, because this function is dependent on the policy framework of Government of India. So what are the policy frameworks? And not only in Indian context also, since we are signatory to the UNCAC, so we are also supposed to follow certain rules and regulations. So if you see the on global perspective, so how procurement is so important that this is also discussed at the global level. And this says that around 15 to 30% of GDP on average basis is related to the public procurement. So you can imagine the quantum. If India's GDP is this much, so how much is related to the public procurement? And that's why the stake is so high. That's why should be emphasis of preventive vigilance in public procurement. And this is as per United Nations Convention Against Corruption's report that 15 to 25% of the public contracts value on average basis is lost due to corruption, because indented execution of the contract is not done as per terms and conditions. So this is what the overall views on overall basis. And of course, corruption adversely affects the redistributive power of the state and social program suffers. So that's why this is very important that there should be a certain framework, certain rules, procedures that is to be followed. It should not be so restrictive as well as it should not be loosened also. Now, so you should have a model procurement codes. Organizations are having so many codes are there that is to be followed. And in fact, UNCAC, so this is a booklet, very small booklet, maybe of 50 pages. You can download from internet also. And here the Article 9 of Chapter 2, this speaks for the preventive measures on public procurement. So Article 9 is related to the public procurement of Preventive Measure Chapter 2. And this is also related to the management of public finances. Very in an elegant manner this document is prepared. It's a very simple language, but emphasis is like this. They have made a article. So many articles are there. So those who are interested in reading, please download and read it also. So this anti-corruption, preventive measures is related to the Chapter 2. This speaks for the preventive anti-corruption policies and practices. So there should be certain policies related to the preventive measures, and who would be doing, there should be anti-corruption bodies in country perspective as well as the organization perspective. So the CVOs, they are they are the anti-corruption bodies for your organization. And then public sector, it talks about the public sectors, it talks about the conflict of interest, code of conduct, asset declaration of the public officials. Now this Article 9, this public procurement and management of public finance, this is relevant to the today's topic. So just I am developing the topic that UNCAC is there, so chapter 2 is there, and then Article 9. So read the Article 9, this will be talking about the public procurement and management of public finances. Then it talks about the transparency, efficiency in public administration, public reporting, then measure related to judiciary, prosecution services, private sector, participation of society, measure to prevent money laundering. We would be interested in Article 9. So this speaks for the public procurement, management of public finance. And if you read, it talks about the transparency, it talks about the competitions, it talks about the objective criteria in decision making. If you correlate all these three things, so fairness is also coming. If you are enhancing the transparency, there will be a competition. And if you are having the objective criteria in decision making, definitely you are doing the transparency and you are developing the competition in this aspect. And what are these 5 subsections are there? So this speaks the public distribution of information related to the procurement procedures and contracts. So that's why you are uploading your public procurement manuals on your website, because you are disseminating the information to the market, to the public, that this is the philosophy of procurement in our organizations. Establish condition in advance for participation. Coming to the specific tender conditions through NIT, which is the fundamental document through which you are doing the public procurement. So there you are incorporating everything. Use of objective and predetermined criteria for verification of correct applications. Whether you are doing through list cost selection method, or you are through QCBS, or through fixed budget selections. So that everything you are predetermining in your NIT. Ensuring the legal recourse, if it has not been followed, then where to go, where the complainant can go, where the bidders can go. So that you are declaring. that is what the dispute resolution in contracts. And how you regulate all those things. So one is the understanding of the rules and procedures, and for that we are having this type of training session. So the personnel responsible for procurement they are declaring their interest. Suppose one bidder is related to me, so I shouldn't be part of that procurement processes. I should be recuse that procurement process. So what are the screening processes, procedures and training requirements? That's why the capacity building training is very important. And this is discussed at very high level also. Now coming to the finance, this Article 9, subpara 2, this speaks for the transparency and accountability in management of public finances. And very in simple language that there should be adoption of national budget. And this is for the state parties because India is a signatory to UNCSE, so India is a state party. And because of all those things, there is a peer-to-peer review by the countries also. So India is also getting reviewed by the other two countries. And other two countries are also getting reviewed by the so many countries also. At present in India, the second cycle review of UNCSE is going on. Because we assigned and this UNCSE is a convention, and this is a secretariat is UNODC, and this is in Vienna. Okay, so Vienna UNODC is a secretariat. They are monitoring these conventions, and they are doing all this review and other things. So please go through all those things. So this is related to the management of public finances. Now this is overall global perspective related to the public procurement. Public procurement is not my own procurement. This is a procurement of the state, and this is discussed at the country level and higher level also. So this I discuss, and after that I'd be discussing about the in Indian context. So what are the framework? So we would be having tea after this, and then we would be continuing the session onward. Okay. So we should break for the tea. Okay. Awareness that what are the things which are discussed at global level. Okay. So those young professional as well as those who are interested in the public procurement, they should understand, they should go through those documents also. And so many case studies are also there that if it should have been done in this fashion, result would have been this way, if they have not done, so there is a compromise on certain issues. So please go through it because this would be a maybe liking subject for you also. And not only that, there are certain pillars also that whether your procurement processes are scoring maximum on certain parameters or not. Maybe certain legality is there. What we are discussing, that the legal framework. So for procurement, there should be a legal framework because then only the country's rules, regulations are getting followed in the procurement process. So of course the first is the Constitution of India, and then the Indian Contract Acts, then Sales of Goods Acts, and all these are getting amended also. Then Arbitration and Conciliation Act 1996 with latest amendment. At present in 2023 the Mediation Act has also come up. So this issue of this Mediation Act, those who are from the legal side also, they should get hold of the Mediation Act booklet because they have modified the conciliation part of Arbitration and Conciliation Act. Still some of the provisions have not yet been notified. That's why only bare act is in existence. So many provisions of Arbitration and Conciliation Act have been removed and it has been made as a mediation. Mediation and arbitration, there are differences. Through arbitration you can impose, the arbitrator is imposing his views. Through mediation you are only facilitating. So only the parties, maybe state parties, your organizations and the contractors, if there is a dispute, then you are facilitating to mediate, and they would be just getting the dispute resolved. So please go through the Mediation Act 2023 also. Then of course Competition Act Then Information Technology Act, because most of the tender cases are now getting procured through e-publication mode, through e-tendering. So this act is there. Then Vigilance Commission Act, those who are in the vigilance organizations, so this act is related to the how to go ahead, IOPO, and how procurements, paragraphs, some of the provisions would be considered. In fact, we are also governed by this Central Vigilance Commission Act 2023. Then CBI is guided by DSP establishment, because when there is a criminality involved in any procurement processes, this is to be examined. And there are so many provisions, 17, 19. Then Prevention of Corruption Act, CAG audit powers, because CAG as a statutory bodies are auditing your procurement processes, expenditure, even thematic audit is also being done. Now right to information, that's why you are uploading your procurement, whatever you have done procurement, you are uploading on the website so that the public should know that this organization has done this type of procurements. Then Code of Criminal Procedures, then various labor laws applicable at the production and work site, because very important, very much important for all of you, because so many workers, workforce is involved in it. In Central, around 29 labor laws are there, but now it has been merged in 4 codes. So still not yet notified, but 4 codes have been, these 29 laws have been merged in 4 codes. Then of course various environmental mining. Mining is so prominent that this is also acting here. So mining, coastal zone regulations and other relevant acts and laws. So these are the legal frameworks. So this legal framework should be embedded in your NIT, in your contract, in your procurement processes. Now, after considering the legal framework, it's not that we should be experts of the all legal aspects. There should be a administrative framework, because this is important for all of us. Based on this administrative work, we are doing the procurement processes. So first is the GFR, which has been issued by Department of Expenditure, Ministry of Finance. And after issue of GFR, certain provisions related to the public procurement have been already incorporated in manuals of procurement of works, goods and services. So at present there are 3 manuals incorporating the provisions related to public procurement in the manuals. So if you say that whether GFR is directly applicable to my organizations or not, but you read the manuals, manual says the provisions related to the public procurement has been incorporated in your manuals. And this manuals, how it is applicable to the CPSE, in fact DPE has also issued guideline that all manuals, all instruction from the Central Vigilance Commission related to the public procurement is to be aligned in your procurement manual. That's why emphasis is having the procurement manual. Then sometimes DOEs are also issuing so many guidelines, and that guidelines are getting issued as a modification to GFR, modification to manual also. And in fact GFR also says that there are rule 6.2 or rule 6.1, that through that, based on that rule, you can amend the GFR also, which you would be discussing also. There are certain provisions that has been amended. In fact GFR has been amended, and of course the procurement manuals are getting amended also through the notification of Department of Expenditure. Then guideline issued by DPE. So DPE guideline is very important for all of you, because you are the procurement guideline, the guideline issued by DPEs are directly followed by the CPSEs, PSUs. And from where you will get the guideline of DOE? DOE's guideline are on website of Department of Expenditure, chronologically in public procurement notifications, they are having the guidelines. Earlier we were issuing so many guidelines, so now Central Vigilance Commission has stopped issuing any guideline related to the public procurement. But whatever guideline earlier were issued, it has been amalgamated in the manuals of public procurement. Now DPIIT, one of the guidelines is the public procurement preference to Make in India, that has been issued by DPIIT. Then NITI is issuing the guideline related to the PPP, public-private partnership contracts. Then guideline of government of e-marketplace, GEM. This is very important because most of the goods and services are now getting available on the government e-marketplace, and there is a mandatory provision in GFR Rule 149. So you are supposed to purchase through government e-marketplace. So there is no respite that if item is available there, then you cannot go to the other portal also. Okay, so this is what the provision says. So there is a mandatory provision for procurement of goods and services which are available on government e-marketplace. Then guideline issued by Department of Ministry of Electronic and Information Technologies, because digital signatures and other things, how the bids travels from the bidders to your organizations, what are the encryption and other things, whether the portal what you are doing is STQC certified or not. So maybe you are doing your through NIC or maybe through your portal. So first you see, as a inquisitive mind, you ask that whether this portal is STQC certified or not. If you ask the NIC fellow, they will tell you this is a certificate. In fact, certificate they are also uploading that my portal is STQC certified. So whether your other procurement portals are STQC certified or not, please see to it. Then, so there were so many authorities, so ultimately you will be in confusion that what to follow, what not to follow. So this guideline issued by ministries, department and organization concerned is the important guideline that one should read. Once you are in public procurement, once you are in execution also, once you are in maybe services also, so one should read the guideline of procurement, guideline of the organization. Now this is the history of GFR, because then you will understand how GFR has traveled and what is the, so this is general provision to be followed by Government of India on financial matters. So GFR is on financial matters. So how this public procurement coming into picture, because certain provisions, maybe 89 or 90 provisions, 90 rules are related to the public procurement, and these are the executive instructions. Instruction has been issued by the Government of India to the executive that this is to be followed. If somebody said that I am going to purchase through, I have made a ranking L1, L2, L3, I will purchase through L2. This is not permitted, because this executive instruction is not allowing you. Had it been your personal purchases, you can purchase through L5, L9, so many things. But as a public procurement experts, executives, you have to follow the guideline what is mentioned in the GFR and the procurement manuals. And this was initially issued in 1947, then it was revised, then further revised, then 2017 guideline is at present and its amendment. Latest amendment has been also issued, and this guideline is available in the site of Department of Expenditure. And certain broad procurement rules are covered in GFR. And it speaks, 142 says that respective procuring entity may issue entail the instruction regarding procurement broadly in conformity with the GFR. And then the different organizations are having the manuals, because this is as per your local need. That is the broad guideline. Then it's related to your organization concern, your field units. So there you are using this. So GFR also speaks that you should follow your guideline and you develop your detailed instruction in this regard. Now this rule 1 of GFR. So first one should read the preface of GFR as well as the rule 1. So where is the applicability of GFR? This speaks for the applicability of GFR. If you say that GFR is not applicable on me, UNCAC is not applicable on India, but there are certain provisions, that's why this is applicable. So this speaks for the applicability. So first applicability is organization concerned with the government ministries, department and attached subordinate bodies, and even autonomous bodies have also come up. So if autonomous bodies or certain rules regulations have been approved by the Government of India, then accept those provisions, that is also applicable. Now if you want to change the GFR provisions, so how you will get it changed? Because you want that certain changes should be done for us, then this provisions allowed as per GFR. So wherever you want to deviate from the rules, you ask whether you have got the authority to change or not. So this provisions gives you the authority to change. So there are certain provisions that you should have an express approval of Ministry of Finance. Suppose you want to construct a building, you want to give it to state works organizations, whether provisions have been mentioned in the GFR or not. If there, then you go ahead, you record the reasons and you go ahead for giving on nomination basis also. But if it's not, then there is no authority for you to do it. So this way you can get your GFR provision changed in your procurement manual. Now GFR provisions, and then coming to the updated manuals, there is long history for this, why this manual came into updation. So there were so many conferences in Vigyan Bhavan, so many policy makers, distinguished inputs from your organizations, other organizations also went into, and after that the 3 manuals have been devised where the CVC guidelines have been merged, and this erstwhile procurement related instruction issued by the CVC have been subsumed along with the DOE circular, including this 29th October 2021. This is on general instruction on procurement and project management. So this, one should also read this document. This will give you the why there is a need to issue instruction related to the project management, because so many projects are coming, so many things are coming. Is it their bottleneck that our restriction, our policy, our instructions are restrictive in nature, so that there is a restriction on the bidder side? That's why this general instruction on procurement and project management came into picture, and so many things were embedded. Earlier the works was not through QOP, QCBS method. Now QCBS method has been included. Earlier it was on L1 selection, but in works you can use the QCBS method. Those who have done the QCBS, I do not know, this is in consultancy. Already consultants were selected through QCBS, but works, I don't know, Coal India or their subsidiary are using QCBS method in works or not. So please see to it that you have been given certain flexibility that you can select the quality vendor also through QCBS. But that is applicable to works, that is applicable to non-consultancy services. Earlier QCBS was not in works, not in goods, not in non-consultancy services. It was only in consultancy services. At present, you can use QCBS in consultancy, you can use QCBS in non-consultancy, you can use QCBS in works. But at present, goods, QCBS in goods is not permitted. But in fact, we have also seen that some of the organizations, on being hyperactive, they are using QCBS in procurement of goods also. That is to be immediately avoided. QCBS, you know?
Any specific reason why it should not be followed in goods?
Goods. Actually, no. QCBS, this is basically QCBS, they are taken from the World Bank procurement. So in World Bank procurement, it was already there, but so many ethical concept in if you are selecting the vendor having the more technical innovations and other things. So why the question comes, why QCBS? So this is the basic questions. So QCBS comes in consultancy because the consultant having the getting more financial aid from your side would be innovating. So this is called rated type of selection method. Somebody is scoring 80, somebody is scoring 90. Both are qualified, isn't it, on technical parameters, but you want to have a quality product, quality maybe services, and this varies from one vendor to another vendor. So there is a different innovative method for one vendor based on your financial aid given more to this. That's why this was allowed in the works. But even in works, if you see the parameter is limited, technical weightage is limited to only 30%. In consultancy, you can go up to 70, you can go up to 80 also, technical weightage. Okay, so you can calculate mathematically also that even those who are quoting less but scoring high on technical parameter based on the high weightage of 80% or 70%, they are getting the order. But had it been least cost selection method, they would not have got the order. But because of this thing, but why it is not coming into goods? At present, the government of India has decided that let's consider only the works where the technicality is more important, because works is some sort of goods as well as services also. EPC contracts mean what you are doing. You are giving the only broader parameters and you are allowing them to innovate. No, so you are asking for performance-based specification. Your specification is not there in EPC contracts. That's why they are still in experimental basis, and hardly a few organizations are doing QCBS even worse. Because when you go for the QCBS in works, there is another term called QOP, Quality Oriented Procurement. So there is a high level committee, that committee first approved that this should be done through QCBS. Then only you would use the QCBS in procurement. Okay, so this is what in the back end of the Department of Expenditure is there. Hopefully this QCBS in works will give you the good results, then it will also come in the goods also. But what happens in goods? Goods is what? Goods is a conformance-based specification. You are specifying. Certain manufacturers have given a product, so you are specifying the minimum technical parameters. So there is hardly any chance. Only the chance could be of process improvement. So if this will be considered, then in future this may come. थोड़ा इसको बंद करो, लाइट आ रहा है. So now this is what the DOE instruction, the organization has to required to update, align their procurement guideline and manual in line with the manual of DOE. Now this procurement manuals initially issued in 2006, in 2017 to 2019. Then last it was revised in July 2022. At present, if you go to the DOE site, there is still draft procurement manuals, and this is in draft mode. This is under consultation with the different stakeholders. So please study those things where you want to add something, because there are certain infirmity in this manual also. If you read the GFR provisions, if you read the manual provision one to one, then you will find the GFR says in a different interpretation. Interpretation, if you read the manuals, will be different. And suppose you are in vigilance or you are an executive, if you are going to decide one case, so how you will go along, what interpretation it will be there. So there it is the duty of the organization to tell the DOE that this needs further clarification. I'll tell you one example, that if it's abnormally low bid, if you read the provisions of manuals, it says that you have a detailed discussion with the L1 who is quoting abnormally low. First of all, there is no percentage called abnormally low. So that is clearly mentioned. Once you are satisfied, your committee members are satisfied that okay, my estimate is 100 rupees, but somebody has quoted 60, this is maybe considered abnormally low based on the benchmark of estimate value. So you get hold of the different details of the vendors. If you are satisfied that whatever you have done estimate is not proper, then you can place the order. If you see that that vendor has not yet explained the rate which has been quoted very abnormally low, it says, the manual says that you can reject the bid. But manual doesn't say further in some of the cases that it should be retender or it should be done in this fashion. Earlier manual was saying that if L1 withdraws the offer, you can consider in some of situation with the L2 at the rate of L1. So there were so many disputes. Many organizations started following this thing. Then complaint started pouring in the commission also that this executive is having relation with the L1 or L2. He is telling L1 that please withdraw the offer. Ultimately the business will go to the L2. So all those things have been done. So subjectivity was involved. Sometimes you are retendering, sometimes you are giving the order to L2. So many things came up. So now new guideline has been issued, and in fact data we have collected from so many organizations, from your organization also, from railways, from CPWD, that in very few cases this situation has occurred where L1 has withdrawn. And now this is the benchmark decision that once L1 withdraws in this situation, it should be compulsorily retendered. No consideration of L2. So this is still evolving. Whenever there is a need to have a further interpretation, that is also done. Now, for procurement across all ministries and department attached offices, this is applicability. So this DP is, we are always stressing DPE circulars. So please get hold of this circular, the 10th August 2022. Where DPE has directed the CEO of CPSEs that please ensure the compliance of manuals. So if you are ensuring the compliance of manual, means you are ensuring the compliance of GFR provisions, you are ensuring the CVC guideline also. And for that, in fact, regularly CVC is writing to the all CPSEs that please, whether your manual are getting updated or not. So this is what the instruction from the Central Vigilance Commission also. So this is for the higher management to consider, but you as a mid-level or starting from the beginning, you also go through all those instructions also. CVC instructions are issued on the CVC CVC website, and this DP instruction may be on DPE side, otherwise I have got the circular also. Now coming to the GFR. So still we are just always considering GFR manuals, we have not gone ahead. So GFR, now coming to the GFR. So this GFR related to the public procurement. Okay, so rule 144 of GFR speaks for the three things: efficiency, economy, transparency, equitable treatment of suppliers, promotion of competition, which we discussed in context of UNCSC. There it was also there in three languages, three words: transparency, competition, objective criteria in decision making. Sometimes you will see when you start evaluating the offer, you will be confused with your paragraph, what is mentioned in your NIT. So there should be objectivity in the evaluation criteria, that whether you evaluate or he evaluates, she evaluates, the evaluation will be in same fashion. That's why emphasis is there. Efficiency, because you are putting the certain bid validity period. So there should be a decision within the bid validity period. In fact, we have seen the cases where vigilance cases has been initiated, they have not decided within the bid validity period. One case study I have also is in this slide. Economy, because economy is of paramount importance, but to achieve the economy, whether it is list cost selection, whether it is the QCBS method, whether it's a fixed budget selection, or in other way also. So you have to ensure whether economy is there. And transparency. Transparency is a big word. Transparency is a big word because you have made a rules and procedure, but you are not following the rules and procedure. You have put certain rules and conditions into NIT, but at the time of evaluation you have utilized some other rules and procedures. Sometimes using the single source selection continuously, and sometimes you are going for the limited tender
selection or through the open tender selection. So what your procurement manual says, that is what the transparency is there. And ultimately it is an integrity of the procurement process. Maybe it sounds philosophical, but integrity of the procurement process is you define based on certain authority, then you implement. This is what the integrity of the public procurement process. And this is embedded in Rule 144 of GFR. Now this 144 also then certain, for execution it also speaks that it should be objective, the description of the subject matter should be objective, functional, generic, measurable, specify the technical, qualitative performance characteristic. Because if you are not selecting one vendor, he will just see your NIT and he will tell you that in NIT where you have written that you would be rejecting my bid. If it's not written, then why you have rejected. So this is what's seen in fact definitely at your vigilance department, and it is also seen at higher level. When cases goes, why I am stressing, because when cases goes to up, then there are certain procedures. Procedures is that the maybe suspected officials or charge officials, they are asked to explain. So they are explaining in this fashion also. That this was not there, that's why I have taken in this decision. If it's recorded decision, generally that fellow has applied his mind and he has taken decision in this fashion. So this is very important, not to indicate a particular trademark, trade name and brand, because you have to give a natural justice to those who are following the specification. In terms of quality, type, quantity to be clearly defined. We are not sometimes defining which quality parameter we are going to take. We are not defining, there are certain determinate quality parameter, there are certain indeterminate quality parameter. If it's not indeterminate, then definitely you are not going to put in the tender condition. So what could be the procurement process, that is to be seen. Then non-essential features, superfluous parameters should not be put as a part of NIT. Then since we are having codes, you are having codes, so that code to be followed. It's not that we are following the European norms or American, Canadian norms. Okay, so this national standards to be followed. Then procuring entity may be for reasons to be recorded in writing, adopt any other technical specification. Still you are not satisfied that you are not following the national code, you are not following the building code, then you record the reason why you are not following. Unnecessary, you shouldn't put the foreign specifications which is already counterpart is available in India. Now coming to the procurement. So first of all you have to see whether you are going for the burst procurement, you are going for the goods or consultancy and non-consultancies. Most of the rules regulations are in same line. A few rules provisions are different for different. So works, it's a broader perspective. Goods, definition is there, what is goods. But if you read the definition of GFR, the books, periodicals, magazines have been excluded from the goods. Then suppose you want to purchase for this organization, the periodicals, goods is required to be purchased for this management institutes. So what you will be following? So which type of procurement processes? In fact, this has also been referred by some of the organizations, some of the maybe IITs and IIMs, that in this scenario, which type of, you are saying that books, periodicals and magazines are not considered as a goods. Then which type of rule I am going to follow? Because you have made a manual for goods procurement, for burst procurement, for consultancy and other services. So at present they are saying that what you draw a procedure that for purchase of goods, how we will be following? Will it be a committee through purchase committee, or you would be directly writing to the author of the periodicals or author of the certain goods, because there is a copyright and other things come into play. At present the government e-marketplace has magazines, services included. So now earlier we were just purchasing magazines from any known vendors, but now the vendor has to also register on government e-marketplace, because this service is available on government e-marketplace. Magazine and newspaper services, this is there. So now organization has started purchasing these magazines through the government e-marketplace. Consultancy, yes. So non-consultancy, these are other than consultancy. So there is a difference between consultancy and non-consultancy services. This QCBS, earlier you were not purchasing non-consultancy through QCBS, but now you can purchase consultancy and non-consultancy through QCBS. Now coming to the e-publishing. This 159 is a mandatory provision. So whenever our TEs goes, they see for this whether it has been mandatory published or not. Publication is requirement is there, but there are certain respite is also given, that in certain circumstances you can go, there is no need to publish. So this is also mentioned there. We have seen many cases when we ask whether this was published, please give us the audit log. There is no audit log for that publication of that tender contract. Hopefully this organization is publishing everything on the portal. And this publication is on CPP portal. Sometimes so happens that organization is publishing on their website portal, but not on CPP. But the thing is, where lot of procurement is going on, so they have linked their website to the CPP. So this is already getting published in CPP. Similarly, the GEM procurement, this will be applicable to GEM also. So GEM is connected to CPP. So once it is purchased through GEM, automatically this contract is getting visible in published in CPP portal. Apart from this, the tender inquiry, RFP, EOI notice, everything that is to be published. So this is what the transparency is. This is the meaning of transparency in public procurement. Now this is a e-procurement. Publication is there. If you have published, you can purchase through manually also. But this is a e-procurement. E-procurement, you can use the NIC website, or you can use your organization website for procurement purpose or for getting the bid. And there are certain exemptions also with respect to national security and strategic consideration demanding confidentiality. If that is there, then you can go ahead with the manual procurement. Indian missions, they are exonerated. In fact, in commission we are also getting complaint related to the Indian mission at the foreign countries also. So this mechanism has so happens that they are saying that this procurement in the Indian missions at foreign countries has not done in a proper fashion. Okay, so you see the awareness of the citizens may not be a correct complaint, but this type of complaints are also coming. So gone are the days when we were doing the procurement, but we are not telling anybody, we were not telling the society, we were not known to a few vendors also. But now it is all visible, and that's why this framework is there. Then coming to the single tender inquiry. Many organizations are doing a lot of single tender inquiries, but this is to be followed in these situations related to the goods procurement and in works as well as consultancy, but this is related to the goods. So only a particular firm is manufacturer of required goods. Then what you will do? We have to get a PSC certificate signed by your executive technical wing. When you are going to the purchase, then have a PSC certification ready. Then in emergency situation, if emergency is there, then get it approved and then you go ahead. PSC is not required because that is emergency situation, only you have to certify the emergency. Spare parts of OEM for existing machinery and plant for standardization purpose, because Siemens machines will only be required to be attached with the Siemens spare parts. So there you just routinely sign the PSC certificate, and some of the organizations are so strict that they are also writing qualified PSC and clear PSC. Qualified PSC means PSC is there, but it's qualified. So procurement power is restricted. If it's clear PSC, then procurement power is normal procurement power. Junior level can also purchase high value contract within his power, delegation of power. So this PSC certification is important. In government e-marketplace, this is also permitted, but some of the cases has come up where when we started downloading the PSC, or in fact we have not started, we have asked the government e-marketplace to please give us the PSC certificate, PSC, the downloaded PSC certificate. We are surprised to know that PSC certificate was one certificate was there. It was not in proper fashion, signature was as it is. And when we asked the delegation of power regarding signing of PSC certification, it was not there. So this is to be avoided, because once you are updating any document on government e-marketplace, they are not reading. They are only considering that this is your duty to upload, but that certificate should be proper. Have you seen the PSC certificate? You have seen. So please see the PSC certificate. You can question also why this PSC certificate is there. If it's really required, then this should be processed. Now, once you have done single tender or nomination based inquiry, because this is permitted as per GFR, as per manual, then you have to follow after this. So this says that this is to be brought to the notice of ministries and department, because single tender procurement is considered as a biased procurement, because you are biased initially to the one particular vendor. So what to do? You just report to the higher authorities that we have purchased something through single tender and nomination basis. In case of this CPSCs, then board of director or equivalent managing body for banks, for insurance and other companies also. Chief executive of the organization where it's not available. And it is to be time frame is also mentioned, that quarterly you have to, not each case is to be given, quarterly you have to report to the authority. And there is an audit committee. I do not know, many organizations are having the audit committee auditing the procurement cases. So 10% of those cases to be audited by the audit committee.
सिंगल टेंडर इंक्वायरी आपने जो भी बताया कि हायर अथॉरिटी को इन्फॉर्म करने के लिए, हम लोग तो ऐसा करते नहीं है. हम लोग जो अपना HOD का अप्रूवल लेके या कैप्टन अप्रूवल लेके हम लोग करते हैं.
नहीं,
हम लोग में है नहीं, हम लोग के मैनुअल में
ये अप्रूवल तो आपको लेना है. हाँ, वो जब कर लिए आप अप्रूवल, तो डेलीगेशन ऑफ पावर के अकॉर्डिंगली उसने अप्रूवल दिया. बट इन अ क्वार्टर हाउ मेनी सिंगल टेंडर यू हैव डन? सो दिस सिंगल टेंडर बेस्ड डेटा टू बी quarterly to be brought to the notice of not higher authority. In fact, in case of ministries and department, to the secretary or board of director or equivalent managing bodies. So for their notice it is to be given that although you have done in a proper fashion, but what will happen after it is given to them, then a few cases they would be also examining. And there is a auditing also. 10% of these cases to be, in fact in coal ministry this letter has also come from the commission that
I clarify, sir. We are following. We follow all the procedures. The point here arises, which many of the pertain institutes are considering, is regarding the pack PSC bike.
We are following this procedure. Single tender and nominations all are to be reported to the board quarterly, and audit committee or board they examine cases, 10% of the cases also. We have also kept provision of reporting a pack also to the board. But most of the purchase executives are confused about reporting a pack as single tender or nomination tender.
because slightly there is a difference between pack buying and single tender and nomination. Single tender and nomination otherwise are to be reported, but pack buying a bit on a higher side reporting, because we buy a lot of spares from OEM of equipment manufacturers. We have fleet of around 6,000 equipment, Caterpillar, Komatsu, and yearly basis our procurement runs to 1,000 crores of spares parts only, and most of them are on proprietary basis. So reporting each and every case becomes difficult. So most of the purchase executives are confused on this aspect. Reporting a pack under this category. So here some clarification.
Okay, it is noted down, but at present there is no distinction between single tender or nomination basis. It is said that if you are doing, because you have already got the approval of PAC, so once it is approved, then there is no other option that to purchase as a single tender. So this is also considered as a single tender, and then on basically nomination basis, some of the organization has a different route, single tender, PAC and others. But at present this is to be reported to the board. In fact, this was deliberated in the commission also, and this was single tendering with respect to a few organizations. Even coal ministry was also there. So many single tenders have been seen. Now, this is another thing, acceptance of single offer. This is not a single tender, this is an acceptance of single offer. So you have open tender, or single offer in open tendering should not be rejected in routine fashion. So generally there is a tendency that one offer has come, so it is to be rejected. In fact, this 29th October 2021, this project management guideline, there this is also deliberated, because many cases are getting re-tendered because of single offer getting received. So it should not be done because of this, because actual cost of re-tendering is there, actual escalation during re-tendering is there, maybe intangible cost of non-attainment of purpose for which procurement is being done. So you shouldn't go for re-tendering. Possibility that rebid may result in a higher bid. So in this situation, what you will do? So in this situation, this is written in the GFR also, in manual of verbs as well as manual of goods also. So please go through this. This says that even when one bid is received, the process should be considered valid provided following conditions are satisfied. So you have to record these conditions. One is definitely you have given for transparency sufficient time and it was correctly advertised. Qualification criteria was not duly restrictive. Even if you have done the advertisement, but maybe out of 7 bidders, only one bidder is selected. So there is definitely some restriction. And price are reasonably in comparison to the market value. So ultimately you have to give the recording the reasonability of the price. So this is mentioned. If it's there, then you go ahead with the acceptance of single offer. But what power will be used? So power, it's given that this GFR 173, 20 and 21. So this also this should be considered as single tender. So whatever the power of single tender is there, you please follow. If you organization, what they have done against the open tender, single offer have been received. Considering this region, they are using the normal power also. I do not know what is in Coal India. So this you go through with respect to the rule 173 and what is mentioned in the procurement of goods and works. Now, pre-notice inviting tender. This is also part of this project management instruction, that pre-NIT conference. This is not pre-bid conference. This is pre-NIT conference where there is a complexity in procurement. Then you, for framing the this thing, but this should be knowledge of all known bidders or to the market also. Then only you will be framing the good specification. Maybe held Pre-NIT conference may help the procuring entity in obtaining input from the industry. So for this purpose, why this is important? Because a few cases has come up when the organization executive has only talked to the single vendor. Single vendor has given the specification, technical specification. It has traveled through the email. When you download the email, if you see the metadata, if there is a the thing which can tell you the metadata of the documents, then it was, when investigation was done, it was pointing out to a few officials of the bidder. So metadata was telling about the originator of that tender specification. And after that, when they have gone through the commercial specification of the terms and conditions of the NIT, they also found the same officials of the bidder is sending the email, and metadata also point out as a originator of that officials. And ultimately the order was given to that fellow. Not he was competitive, but somehow with manipulative evaluation. And this case, very small value case, maybe 4-5 crores case, and this is under prosecution stage. So this is to be avoided. Whenever you are in doubt, you are not able to frame the specification, you may have a 1, 2, 3, 4 quotations and have a pre-NIT conference. And of course the terms and conditions, you are the master of terms and conditions, so it should be framed as per your requirement. Now this is also mentioned in Manual of Procurement of Works and Goods. And pre-NIT conference should be widely published so that the different potential suppliers can attend. So these are all things are considered while considering the fate of the case, when it becomes a prima facie vigilance case or so. Now pre-bid conference, this is also important. Once you have made a bid, but you are not sure or bidders are in doubt conditions, so they would be writing to you that why you have written these conditions, there should need for further discussion. So please go ahead with pre-bid conference and in a transparent fashion you consider, and there should be recording of whatever the suggestion has come from the bidder side and what you are changing, that is to be done. Somewhere we have seen that they have had this pre-bid conference, but there is no record of pre-bid. In fact, only date was written that pre-bid was done. Bidder has suggested something, I have incorporated. It should be clause-wise. So the good pre-bid conference, this is the name of the bidder. Bidder is saying this and this you have selected. You can refuse also that yes, our requirement is like this. So pre-bid conference is very important. And then based on that you improve your terms and conditions and provisions of the tender. Record of queries and response. This is what response thereon should be uploaded on the website of the organization as well as on CPP portal. Then date and time of such conference should be notified in sufficient advance so that they would be able to tell you what to be done, what not to be done. And I am just making the reference because this is very important, because this is not a just a hypothetical thing, this is recorded thing. Might have started with hypothesis, but this is now part of the manual. Definitely this would be also part of your manual also. Now coming to the withdrawal of offer by L1. Earlier there was confusion, so what I discussed, once offer is withdrawn, or it says that in case the bidder whose bid has been found to be lowest evaluated bid, if it is withdrawn or accepted but fails to sign the procurement contract as may be required, or security deposit has not been submitted for performance of the contract, otherwise withdraws from the procurement processes, then mandatory procuring entity shall, word is there, shall re-tender the case. Earlier we were just considering L1 leaving but giving to L2 at their rate or so. So this was removed and this was made a part of this thing. So this is now being followed everywhere. And this was a statistic. After a lot of statistics have been collected, hardly below 0.5% cases of whatever data we have collected. Only in that situation L1 was withdrawing. So this was said in even those cases you also go for the retender. Now tender document, this is very important document. Only one page tender document or reference to this your GCC or others should not be there. There should be application of mind on the tender document, because tender document is a fundamental document related to your policies. Whatever policies you are following related to the public procurement, that is embedded in the NIT. So that is what the tender document is, and this is called as ultimate vehicle through which you are telling to the market that based on these provisions I am going to purchase. So here one should be very cautious, one should thorough in reading the all provisions. It's not that somewhere you have written one provision, this is in contradictory to the another provision, another is another contradictory. So all this ambiguity should be avoided. There should be proper provisions. If there is a contradictory provision, you anticipate, then you put a precedence clause that if there is a contradiction of GCC with special terms and conditions to NIT, to so many things, so which will prevail. So that way it is safeguarded, because the bidder, if they are not getting the order, they would be just giving you complaint like this. So first thing is you have a good proper tender documents, and there should be time to be devoted. And this is what called ultimate vehicle for the procurement. So these are the things, should not be contradictory, order of precedence is there. Then in this regard, because the tender document there are so many chapters, so it will flow like this, so that bidders should also be knowing that since I am participating in tender of Coal India or CIL or SECL, then their tender documents is in this fashion. So there are chapters, and in fact the DOE, Department of Expenditure, has also issued the model tender documents, but they said that organizations are required to suitably customize this document. So this will be chapters, then provisions, what precedence would be there. This is also available on DOE side. In fact, they are developing for consultancy also. Maybe consultancy has come up or not, but this was in consultation domain. But that draft model tender document for consultancy is also available. Because when you are going from the Coal India or maybe CIL to another organization, and if you are put in the procurement domain, you would be told to prepare a tender document. That creates a lot of problem, because you would be puzzled what to write, what not to write. Because tender specification is a technical fellows, they would be guiding you. But terms and conditions, commercial terms and conditions are very important. Now specification, this is a guiding factor, that if you are even putting the specification, it should be clear. No contradiction, mechanism to deal with the ambiguity, that is the precedence, then drawing reference should be attached, then this is to be also approved by the competent authority. So whenever you are taking the approval of the contract file, then you are also getting it approved. Every information relevant to the bidder should be incorporated. Then coming to the price variation, this is another issue, whether it should be firm price contract or it should be with price variation clause. So there is some guidance that if it's of maybe 18 months or higher, then you have if it's material intensive procurement based on the maybe copper involvement is there, steel, huge steel is there, then there should be a price variation clause. If it's labor involvement is also there, then there should be a price variation, and proper formula is to be there. Some of the organizations are fixing the indexing date also, that this is the date, this is the index on which I would be evaluating the tender, because you would be evaluating at the time of opening of the tender. So evaluation will be there. Then proper formula should be there, that on which indices somebody should quote. The indices what you are quoting, it should be available at the time of opening of the tender also. Now, mechanism to do failure to achieve the milestone. This is also part, this should be part of the tender document. If there is a requirement and schedule of the technical manpower, then it should be incorporated. Requirement and schedule of plant and machineries. If it's required, if it has not been provided, then what should be penalty to be imposed? How we will deal with such failures? So this is all part of the GFR reference manual of works and goods. Now coming to the negotiation. This is, I do not know, negotiation you are doing, definitely you would be doing the negotiations. So the guiding principle is that it is to be avoided. But if you are going to avoid, then this negotiation procedure is many times violated by various organizations. So first thing you will see in the tender documents that whether you are benchmarking the rate, with respect to the estimate, maybe with respect to LAR, and then you are arriving at L1 rate. Then you are going for the negotiation. So only crux of this matter is that you will have a negotiation with only L1. Earlier was L2, L3, so many things, and then Central Vigilance Commission came into picture. उस समय Bittal साहब थे and Ramachandran साहब CT से. So one, it was issued that except with L1. उसमें wording was so that people started doing negotiation L1 छोड़ करके L2 से फिर करने लगे. So it was also explained. So you consider this is only to give you a basically you are giving a natural justice, because by tendering, why tender? I can go to the market, there is a big L&T is there and I can purchase from that fellow. But you are in public domain. So you are supposed to give, and constitution provision is also there. There are so many organizations are there, they are having a business thing. So they would be trying to come to your organization for business purpose. That's why you are doing the tendering. And then who is the competing? Why you are getting the L1 rate? Because of sheer competition to open tender. So if you want to reduce the rate, you record the reason and then go for the negotiations. So it says the limited sources, if there is a supply for limited sources, if it's a single PSC sort of thing and rate is very high, you also negotiate. And if there is a suspicion of cartel formation. Now cartel formation suspicion is there, then you can report to your involvement. He should be a winning contractor. So that is what the philosophy is there. But sometime because of cartel formation, limited sources or single source PSC selections, the rate are also coming up. That's why negotiation has been given provisions. Some of organizations are also writing to DOE that there should be further clarification on this aspect. And what I mentioned is as per rule 173 of sub provision 14, then it's also mentioned in verse and verse. Okay. Now coming to the conflict of interest. Conflict of interest is also important because this is a public procurement process. So there should not be certain relationship, or if you are having maybe bidders would be knowing or consultant is having pre-consideration of the project. So that conflict of interest to be avoided. This is just to give you ensure the fair play in bidding process and to safeguard the public interest. That's why there should be a resolution of the conflict of interest. And this conflict of interest could be that if you are selecting certain consultant, then that consultant should not be taking part in the project, or consultant should not be supplier of the goods. So there the conflict of interest is definitely, because if you have selected one consultant, he will be giving you terms and conditions, he will be giving you the specifications. So he would be in a better position to manipulate the tender process. That's why there should be a resolution of the conflict of interest. That's why this provision is there. And other way around also, that if I am a bidder, I want to take the project, I want to supply the material, then I should not be consultant to your organizations for that particular procurement. I would not be giving you the specification and other things. Coming to the firm, so this explains that the firm engaged as consultants should not be considered for engagement in subsequent consultancy assignment also of the same procurement case. And other way around also, that if I am going to get the order, if I am sure that I will get the order, I should not be consultant to you. Because of this reason, that whosoever is consultant, so consultancy is what? For vocational, creative vocation. Because as a consultant, I would be giving you certain things. Then you would be deliberating on my views. Then you would be telling, no, this would be done in this fashion. So there is a lot of discussion goes on. I am giving you something to you, then you would be giving something to me, and then after that the terms of reference is made. So this is called creative vocation, and that's why most of the consultancy contracts, you will feel that there is a timeline, but timeline is extended because either you are not providing the drawings, you are not providing the many things. That's why this happens. And this would be expressly mentioned in the tender documents, that if you are a consultant, if there is a conflict of interest, then I am not going to consider you as a contractor for execution of the project. So this would be abundantly clear in the tender document. Coming to the official. So earlier there was two, consultant and project, consultant and goods suppliers. This is what, and other way around also. And this is regarding us, that when we are sitting in the tender committee deliberation, then we should also resolve the conflict of interest. So we give a declaration during the execution, during the deliberation state, we will be giving a declaration. So we also see whether declaration has been given or not. Some of the organizations have a good, already when officers join there, they also take the declaration that whenever I find that my relative or this are processing in the tender process, I should be kept away from this procurement process. So that is also there. And this is clearly mentioned in GFR provisions and manuals for works, goods and consultancy.
डीलिंग ऑफिसर का रिलेटिव्स के बारे में उसको थोड़ा क्लियर किया जाए सर, क्या रिलेटिव्स को हमारे भाई होंगे, वाइफ होंगे, हस्बैंड होंगे, या कितना दूर तक हो सकता है?
एक्चुअली रिलेटिव्स बहुत जगह तो ये डिफाइन रहता है, और जब कंपनी एक्ट्स पढ़ेंगे ना, सो कंपनी एक्ट्स इज डिफाइनिंग व्हाट आर द रिलेटिव्स. In fact, some of the organizations have made it for directors also. The directors' relatives should not be there, because definitely, and this is just to resolve the information to be shared by the organizations to the bidders. But there is no hard and fast, but definitely this is called near relative. Suppose the executive's wife is a bidder. So definitely there should be resolution of the conflict. So you should not participate in that tender process, because anybody can point out. And this has happened. This has happened in the sense that the whole contract was offloaded to all near relatives. So this is what the conflict of resolution with respect to relative is there.
भाई के बारे में हम कैसे रिस्पांसिबिलिटी ले सकते हैं?
Pardon?
भाई के बारे में हम रिस्पांसिबिलिटी कैसे ले सकते हैं? वो अलग है, हम अलग हैं, वो क्या करें उन्हें पता है?
नहीं पता है ना.
भाई को डाइवर्स हो गया तो हम क्या कर सकते हैं?
नहीं. So this is up to you for executives, that if you know that yes he is participating, then you please, before sitting in the tender condition, tender deliberation, you recuse the tender.
वो तो ठीक है सर, लेकिन बाद में कोई केस बनता है, अगर कोई बोलता है, कोई कंप्लेन आता है कि कहाँ ये वाइफ है या भाई है या भतीजा है, तो उसमें कैसे शुक्र लिखा है?
नहीं, तो वो तो आपको पता है ना कि मेरा भाई था जो पार्टिसिपेट किया, बट उस टेंडर को हमने डिसाइड किया, तो कंप्लेन तो करेगा.
कंप्लीट करने के बाद इसका केस रिकॉर्ड हो गया सर।
अच्छा नहीं तो ठीक है, मतलब डेफिनेटली उस समय आपको नहीं पता, मतलब यू वांट टू से कि उसने पार्टिसिपेट किया बट हमको पता नहीं चला, बट यू आर पब्लिक फिगर ना, यू नो हु इज योर ब्रदर एंड व्हाट हिज बिजनेस इज देयर। अब ऐसे इसको सोचें, जैसे बैठिए आप ऐसे सोचें कि आप एक टेंडर ओपन हुआ, ठीक है, यू आर द एग्जीक्यूटिव टू डिसाइड टेंडर टर्म्स, टेंडर इवैल्यूएशन कमिटी में आप हैं, तो आप बिडर्स के तो डॉक्यूमेंट्स देखेंगे ना। तो डॉक्यूमेंट्स में क्या रहता है, डायरेक्टर रहता है, उसके कितने क्या रहते हैं, हु इज द कंट्रोलिंग पर्सन आउट देयर, तो डॉक्यूमेंट्स के बेसिस पे आप उस बिडर को डिक्लेयर करते हैं, उसका एड्रेस रहता है, तो ये सब तो पॉइंट आउट करता है कि वेदर ही इज रिलेटेड, ही इज द सेम ब्रदर जो मेरा रियल ब्रदर है और नॉट। Many cases have happened like this, that many officers have not declared their conflict of interest and they are fall in trap of this type of thing. In oil sector, this they are selecting the tank lorries. Tank lorries are from the contractors. One officers whose father-in-law was, and you read the company act, उसमें लिखा हुआ है relative to relative, कौन किसको relative कहते हैं, what are considered as a relative as per companies act. So that father-in-law got the order. This fellow was a part of the tender evaluation committee. Many complaint might have come, but this fellow must be knowing कि he is a father-in-law, he is doing the business. इतना तो पता रहता है. This is what, and suppose you say कि नहीं, I do not know anything, then on which documents you have considered that this fellow is a bidder? So उसका तो कोई license होगा, registration certificate होगा, that is the document will speak that he is your relative or not.
Sir, on the same issue, this is the part you are suggesting that procuring officer should recuse from the.
Yes.
Now the other aspect of the conflict of interest. We have many IT companies like TCS, Wipro, etc., where many of our executives, chairmen, directors, wards are working. And in many of the tenders, bidders are supposed to declare that none of the employees of their organizations and their relatives are in the particular organization. Suppose Coal India floats a tender whereby Coal India seeks a certificate from the prospective bidder that none of the wards of employees of Coal India is working in you. Here the bidders are in a very difficult situation. They say we have thousands and thousands of employees.
Yes,
we don't know who is son and daughter of.
Yes.
So is it required? In goods we are not insisting. But in consultancy I think there is some insistence.
In this case, you should see the controlling voice in that organization. Whether your ward is in controlling voice of that company or not. If it's an employee, then definitely he is not at all in the controlling position to take the advantage to the tendering process. This is only respite mentioned.
Though we in goods we are not insisting on such a.
Okay. But if a supplier is the firm supplier who is your relative is having the controlling voice out there, then in that tender you shouldn't participate. Controlling voice in the sense that he should be at higher management level. He can decide what to rate quote, where to supply, what not to supply. Okay, so these are all in fact not watertight, but as far as possible this is to be resolved. But straight away, suppose you are offloading, you are subcontracting, suppose some bidder has got the main contract and you are offloading some of the activities to your near dear that you know, this is where somebody will definitely make a complaint, and that creates a problem. And when that get further compounded, when there is some manipulation might have happened, and that is considered as a, in fact, this is seen from the criminality point of view also. But if ward is not in a position to control the procurement process, then So many parts of the coal India, in fact, so many parts of our children are working in the IT field, but they are not in a position to control. Suppose my son or your son would be a director of the company and he is participating in this tender. So definitely I should not be part of that decision stage. I told you, I am from railways. In Central Vigilance Commission, not to have this conflict of interest, I am not touching that file also. Because somebody would be saying that he is from railways and he is knowing this officer, so that is what. Similarly for arbitration case, first you get the declaration, he should not be part of that procurement process, then only he will be considered as an arbitrator. Similarly in judiciary also, many times you will see this honorable judge has recused that case. They have not, although his nomination was there, but he is saying that somewhere I had an association with this organization. That's why, so maximum fairness you bring. Now, so based on this procurement manual, again we are coming on transparency. So there should be a transparency, then fairness. So maybe because of this, not resolving the conflict of interest, fairness was not embedded in the procurement process. And competitions, objective criteria in decision making. Objective criteria in decision making at the time of interpretation of the tender terms and conditions, at the time of evaluation, at the time of execution also. In QCBS, this objective criteria is very important. Then only you are scoring, giving the score. Now, this is again philosophy that why you will have a codified integrated procurement process, because there are so many stakeholders, so executives should take a proper decision, whether I be on that chair or you be in that chair, you will be taking the decision in a proper fashion. And of course, if I am in that chair, then there is a responsibility. So even you are maybe at lower level. So there is a responsibility involved with your working. Whenever you are signing something, there is a responsibility. And that responsibility is same as the responsibility of the CMD or MD or higher officers, because he would be taking, as per that delegation of power, you would be taking decision as per your delegation of power. Sometimes we have seen that somebody has signed when the complaint came, and this is of another ministry, scientific ministry. Scientist has signed. Scientist got the award from USA, but he is not able to go to USA because there is a vigilance case registered. His only mistake was that in hurry he has signed to maintain the quorum as per direction of higher authorities. But somehow something came into his mind. He wrote that as told by director, I am signing, and he has written the time also. So he has signed around 6:30 or 7. So he has mentioned the time. One signature was there. Because of that, vigilance case was initiated by the organization. But ultimately, when commission got this whole thing deliberated, in fact, it was asked from director also that why you have enforced him to sign. Then everything considered, and he was exonerated. He is now in USA. He is doing some research. So this thing to be seen by all. So the first thing is there, why I should sign. If director is telling, then why I should sign. So if it's requirement, you go through some documents and then you sign. If you feel that there is something to be recorded, then you put a certain dissenting note, because your mind will be on the file. But somehow blindly signing is not, you are not putting your mind on the file. We have signed a lot of things, but wherever it came, we have recorded our reason, even in commission. I am talking about from the commission point of view, because many things are not known to others. Everything is recorded. My views could be different from your views. So we are recording. Why I am writing in this fashion? Because this is what is mentioned and this way we are writing. So this is to be the record, everything should be there in the file. Now these are the fundamental principles, that transparency, professionalism, broader obligations, extended legal responsibilities, public accountability principle is there. Transparency, this is also taken from the manual. This says about transparencies. So this only says that whatever you want to do during the evaluation and execution stage, please pre-declare it. If you have pre-declared, you act upon that, there should not be any problem. If complaints comes also, that is to be filed because you have taken decisions based on already predefined criteria. Then professionalism principle is related to us, that we should be professional in procurement. If we are not professional in procurement, we should not decide the case based on our thinking, our understanding. So this is reasonable and appropriate methodology of procurement should be there. So many methodologies are there that is to be understood. Then broader obligation principles. So there are certain preferential policies also. So I am skipping because so many things I have to cover. One is already there. Broader obligations. So many preferential policies are there that is to be understood because this is not understood by others also. Then legality come because there is a state function. That's why courts come into the picture. They take whether legality, apart from the commercial consideration output, whether legal aspect has come into picture or not. So many acts and procedures are there that is to be coming into picture. Then accountability. Once I have decided the case, this is my accountability, and then I will be answerable to any oversight agencies. So if somebody documents are asked, then documents to be produced. Documents are to be produced. If documents are here and there, you take a time, but you have a document, and then whosoever asks you, please produce those documents. Now this I wanted to cover. This is concurrent application of preferential policies, that is MSC and MII. Lot of complaint now started coming for this when you are doing the goods procurement. This is everybody knows public procurement policies for MSC order. This was from 2012, and this was to give doing the business for MSCs. There are certain relaxations, certain preferential policies are included. Another came in 2017. This is public procurement preference to make in India. So first one is applicable for goods and services. The second one is applicable to all type of procurement. That's why then conflict started. How it will be in a tender if situation arises that both bidders are either MSCs or MSCs, or you have to give the public procurement preference. Then how will decide that case? This is logical process that the procurement executive should consider. So this is for promotion of MSCs. These are the things that is to be considered. This is also mentioned in this act also. So there they have defined micro, small and medium. So preference is to be given to micro and small. Medium to be kept aside. So medium are not getting. And they have made a composite criteria. ये सब पढ़ लिए हैं आप लोग? That you know. Okay, so this is what I will rush through. 1 crore 5, if you multiply 5, 10, then it will be 10 and 50, then multiply 5, then it will be 50 and this. Then this is through Udyam registration certification. Earlier there were so many certifications, but even if that vendor is NSIC certified or having DIC certificate, that vendor has to go through the Udyam registration. There is self-generated certificate. And looks is self-generated, but there are so many linkages are there. Income tax, portal linkages, then GST and portal linkages. Then that 1 crore, 5 crore, 10 and 50 are getting linked and composite criteria. That's why this is, and it speaks for whether you are a general, you are a women, you are a SC/ST enterprise, for services, for goods. That is there. And here this has been also might have been discussed. preference 25% among the MSCs. Those who are L1 is non-MSC and 15% falling within the L1 and non-MSC. So if you make a rank, you decide about L1. L1 is whether MSC or non-MSC. If it's non-MSC, then you have to consider L2, L3, whose quote is coming within L1 non-MSC plus 15%. Then you have to do some iteration and then you have to give the counter offer, then order to be given to them up to 25%. This is what this says. Some of the items are already reserved. 358 items are reserved from MSCs. So one shouldn't deviate from MSCs. It should be given to MSC also, to only MSCs. Now another disorder came because in Rule 153.3 of GFR. So in pursuance of that rule, this public procurement preference to Make in India order came in 2017. And after that, a lot of confusion started from the bidder side also, from the organization side also. And here the crux is, and this is applicable to all type of procurement, and crux is local content. This is they have defined the parameter, but this parameter is also creating problem. But this is the parameter on which the orders and preferential procurement is given. So here they have defined the class 1 local supplier, class 2 local supplier, non-local supplier. And if you read from the beginning 2017 to 2020, because 20 is the last order, there this local supplier, then they have made it class 1 and class 2 non-local supplier. 3 categories they have made it. Margin of purchase is 20%. Here L1 plus 20%. So purchase preference margin is 20%. And here concept of nodal ministries is there. Nodal ministry have been assigned to devise the percentage of local content. And in this 18th May, this was discussed?
Yeah, this was discussed, but
okay. So this is there were so many complaints.
you can refer to the complaints aspect. People are aware of the.
Okay. So please go through it because this is another logic. This is first says 0, 1, 1, 2. So they have defined. So please read this circular because this circular speaks for logic in procurement process. Why this is important? Because due to purchase preferences, L1 can get the lesser order compared to L2. This also happens. So they have made it 4 categories: 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, then 0, 0. Okay. So 4 categories they have made it, and they have made a scenarios that in this scenario, suppose L1 is this, then how order will be placed. So these are the simple scenarios. This is another simple scenario because this is item is reserved for MSCs. So you will give the purchase preferences this fashion. If your L1 is MSC class 1, then this matter is resolved, stands still there. You will place the order. But if it's in different fashion, then whom to give. So logic is here that MSC, PPP, MSC is from Act. So you have to give the first preference to MSCs. And after that then it's MII. Now they have done the divisible item they have given a one how it will be. Here you will see the B is getting higher than the C. A also. A is getting the lesser quantity, B is getting the higher quantity. So this is if bidder says that you have given a higher quantity to higher order person, but you have given because of this consideration. So this is to be understood by the bidder also. They are not understanding, that's why they are making a frivolous complaint. So that complaint is not going to stand because of this logic. Similarly, in this scenario, this is another complicated case. And if it's non-divisible, it so happens that L2 can get the whole order with respect to L1 because you are not going to have a divisibility in it. So this is so strong. So purchase preferential clause is so strong that L1 can get the even zero order or lesser order depending upon the scenarios. Now global tender inquiry, this is also important because this is also vitiated, and this is as per rule 161, and this was with reference to 200 crores. And here the controlling is the secretary coordination, cabinet secretariat. So you see the global tender, if you want to do below 200 crores, this is a secretary coordination is controlling this. And something to be ensured while going for the global tender. And certain exemptions are also there, that if it's spare parts or AMCs and this, so they are issuing the different circulars also, that by this circular, blue is the 21 circular, black is for 20 circulars, so they are exempting also. Special relaxations has also been given depending upon the medical equipments, or even organizations are asking, they are giving the special dispensation with time frame. So these are to be seen. So you understand so many things are getting changed. If you see the global tender inquiry circulars, not less than 40 circulars are there in a span of so executive are really confused. That's why this is so important. Sometimes the organization are clubbing the contract, making it above 200 crores, but wrongly they are clubbing. Many items are of different nature, but they are clubbing, making it 200 crores so that they can get away with the approval of secretary coordination. And another vendor is making a complaint that they should have got the approval from the secretary coordination, but they are doing in this fashion. So these are the things coming into picture when you are deciding the tender case. And here, who is reviewing all those things? It's not that only circular has been issued. There are 16th standing committee review has taken place, and these are the high level officers. You see the secretary level officers are there for reviewing the standing committee, this implementation of this PPP MII preferential clause. And they have also observed that these are the deviation has happened. So many things are there. Now again came another thing. This is a restriction on procurement from country sharing land border. So crux here is any bidder who is sharing a land border with any bidder from a country, and that country is sharing land border with India, then there are certain restrictions. They will participate in our progressively from 2020 amendment came, and last amendment is this public procurement number 4 is important, and this is in existence. And here what, even they have amended the GFR. In fact, GFR was further amended also. This was amended, जो black लिखा हुआ है, or bidders having commercial arrangement with any entity from, because directly bidder was getting restricted, but now they started having tie-up with the commercial arrangement with another bidder. So they are restricted like this. So this was also issued. And then here the controlling authority is registration committee in DPIIT. So everything is discussed at very high level. And here is involvement in MHA, then MEA and department concern. And here one bidder, suppose I am from maybe country sharing land border, that is China basically. Then I have to get it registered first. And registration, I need a political clearance, I need a clearance from this MEA, clearance from National Security Council Secretariat. So many restrictions are there. So organization started facing problems. So there are certain, these are the registration process. And after that, this order came, and this applicability of this order is for state government also. So whatever earlier I discussed, that is applicable to the central government organizations. State governments are having different procurement process, but this order is applicable to the state government also. If you state started not accepting this order, so Government of India has issued this circular 19th September 2023. This is invoking the the Supreme this constitutional provision 257(1) that because of national security you have to also follow this guideline. And these are relaxations because you are doing the development work, then there it's not applicable. Then this is the definition of. So ultimately, if you read this definition, this is leading to the one country. Then sectors they have defined, and these are your sector is coming as a category 2 sensitive sector. And if you are purchasing something sensitive technology, then the bidder, if that bidder is participating in your tender, then there is a need for mandatory registration if they are having transfer of technology. And there certain things are also mentioned. Now subcontracting, this is also applicable. You cannot subcontract the work to the bidder having sharing land border with India. This exemption is there. For one exemption is there, for another there is a relaxation. So this is the part you are bringing, then there is no need for registration. Now coming to this I will skip, then I will come to the अभी कितना time है? 15 minutes I will take and 15 cases I will discuss. Okay, this is the risk mitigation measure. After reading all those rules, circulars, now you will come to ultimately I have to purchase the certain things. So these are related to the cycle wise, that pre-tender में what could be the risk, then this could be the risk, then what could be the mitigation measures. You can add so many things. So these are the things you should remember, that if you are making a need assessment, then how you will mitigate those measures, those risks. So this is mentioned here. Then planning, budgeting. Then these are the mitigation measures. You can add also so many things. This we have added either from the booklet and from the understanding from your side. The tailor-made specification. This again we discussed that this should be done. Codes, technical vetting should be there. Conformance and performance-based specification this is related to value for money. Although value for money we are doing through the framework, not through the World Bank value for money consideration. So here it says that if you are making a performance and conformance, then different evaluation methods should be there. So you see the specification. Conformance. You are making a specification, you want the bidder to conform. Okay, so you will be easily evaluating. But risk is on your shoulder. But if you are making as a performance based, only output parameters you have given, they would be innovating. So risk is on their side. EPC contracts is a performance based specification. So risk is on their shoulder. So time to decide, time to create. So just this I have copied from the World Bank booklet, or maybe ADB booklet. Who will be controlling what and what will be the time? So the horizontal line is a different control, different parameters, and vertical is a control. So who will be what controlling? Then undefined procurement processes, it should be avoided. So many things are there. If you understand QCBS, fixed budget selection, so further it will take time. And procurement is such a vast subject, you will be devoting maybe 7 days, then that will not be sufficient to understand. Now, these are to be avoided. Generic specification, you shouldn't put mandatory conditions, maybe related to medical devices, to IT procurements, to others also, telecom. Excessive past experience, specific experience of supplying to the other nation. So these are to be avoided. Now tendering process is that you have already gone through it. bid submission, leveraging technology publication that we already discussed, bid evaluation, these are the things that is to be followed. Bid evaluation committee as per SOP or DOFP. Then this is poor contract management. We have decided correctly, but execution is not in a proper fashion. Then you have to devote all those things. Subcontracting. This is a risk, but you cannot avoid subcontracting in works and others also. Payment related, because you have to pay the bidders. So there is a risk involvement in payment also. So how you mitigate the measures? We have seen the backdating of measurement books. Those who have done the works procurement, work was being done, payment was not made. After another cycle also came, payment was made for the first cycle, because the span has so happened that maybe oversight agency was checking only the second cycle work. So backdating, all those things are coming. So that is to be avoided. So in fact, it says that e-measurement, geotagging of this. So now many organizations have started the geotagging measurement, e-measurement also. Then redressal system is very important, that is to be done. Now coming to the last phase of this session. So this you read, or this is related to the project. One project was done. So order was placed by procuring entity P1 in our country to the foreign country. Foreign country subcontracted the works to the vendor in our country on brevity of that this bidder has got the work executed of another contractor of another country. So 3 countries are involved. So many complex situation has happened. And this case is started from the vigilance of the organizations. So they have talked to the other countries also. Getting the documents from the other countries and getting it verified is very difficult. But they have come up to this conclusion, and around 70 and 80% work has been already done on fake credential, based on which the main work was subcontracted to the another vendor. So this is like this. This is a flow. So what is red flag? I wanted to just tell you about the red flags. What you should avoid. You shouldn't just on brevity of the firm C you place the order on firm B. You should ask the procuring entity of another country on which the C got the work. If you are sure, because when they discussed with P2, P2 said, no, I have not placed any order on C. How can C give a certificate to the firm B on which you have given an order? So this is what has happened. Work is going on from commercial output is there, but there is a complaint, and now the organization has taken the stand that let the work go on, and they have penalized the officials, but they have taken the debarment concept, and in the next cycle that vendor will be debarred, that is taken, and they will be maybe writing to the DOE also for a cross debarment. This looks very simple. This is the hiring of catering services, and they have put, and they have got the house sanitization upkeep service of minimum value. So this and is a red flag. Why they should have put and? So they should have only taken the bidders would have executed at least one single of catering. In fact, single they should have considered the 2, 3 also. So this is what the bidder specific eligibility criteria is there. These are the restrictive clauses. In central India, what is the requirement of minus 25 degrees centigrade? So only the foreign vendor were participating. Even minus 45 degrees centigrade. So this is all to be avoided. This type of condition to be avoided. this is what I discussed. The metadata of tender specification was speaking everything, and they manipulated it also during the evaluation stage, and this is what the case was there. And this case, so tendering process was grossly violated. They should not have done like this. They should have done, suppose this case comes to us, then to you also, so how it will be decided? So you first have a pre-NIT conference, or you have a pre-bid conference. Why you are bent up to give an order to one vendor who has given you the specification, and that to the commercial specification? This is the wrong bundling they have done. So here the red flag is 400 rupees. 2 schedules. Second schedule has not yet been utilized. Not a single ton has been transported. And because of the tender condition, evaluation criteria was overall basis. So they have given the order to B. Meeting now. And so had it been a separate tender, so order should have gone to C, but it has gone to B, and this was the complaint, that why they are not transporting the imported material. When it was investigated by the vigilance organizations, they found that the factory for which they have employed these conditions, the factory is already closed. In fact, the previous contract is half employed. This is not of mining, but mining organizations, but not of coal mining. So this is the red flag is this item 2. When it was investigated, the official making the need assessment, they were doing the evaluation also. So this was anyway, so this is to be avoided. So in fact, this is the vigilance recommendations. Okay. So this was to be seen that red flag is the non-operation of the item number 2. So what they suggested that you do in this fashion, if you want to club it, but you decide separately, and if there is no need to clubbing, then do it independently, because the requirement for transportation of the imported material should be different, eligibility should be different. Now this is another just non-application of mind, I should say. They have copied the previous tender, which was being for the plant, AMC for the plant, but they have for office equipment, office building also, they have just copied. So it looks it's generic, but it's not generic. Only one vendor was getting the order. Restrictive in the sense, in the worst contract, that only 80% of similar work was there. Out of 4 bidders, only 3 came up. High value contract. This led to single bid situation. There is a permission to decide the single bid situation, resultant single bid, and they have done it. So this should have been done in this fashion. Eligibility criteria should have been this fashion, and they should have defined the similar work. This is a lower level evaluation. Eligibility has been decided for higher level, because control and instrumentation is a bit higher level compared to the telephony. But based on telephony eligibility they have done, but this would have been defined in a proper fashion. Now, no clause for penalties. Suppose the vendor doesn't, there is no clause for having penalty for late submission of security deposit. Then what you will do? You cannot impose a penalty also. Once you are going to impose a penalty, they will ask you that under which provision you are
imposing the penalties. So good organizations are keeping the penalty clause in this fashion. The 21 days grace period they are given. After that, they would be having some penalty, interest penalty. Now this is what I talked about, the priority, that if you have, yes, there is chances for making a mistake in specification, so there should be a precedence that which will precede. So this is what the precedence is there. This is mentioned in the manual of goods works. So this is what the subcontracting, and here everything goes in. The conflict of interest, commissions, payment, the B has given to X, X has given to Y, Y has again given to A, and A was a L2 bidder. A didn't get, but he got the order at lower rate from B, but you are paying to the B. So this situation, those who are allowing for subcontracting, they should consider this. This is to be avoided immediately. And if you are using consultant, then consultant, the how much you will pay to the consultant, this should be benchmark not in this fashion. There should be a certain. Otherwise, what will happen? The consultant, they will try to raise the estimated cost. Certain essential documents are on which the tender to be decided was asked during the evaluation stage. This is not permitted. You are not giving the fair practice, fair chance for other to participate. There is a non-disclosure of splitting clause, and here so happens that the L1 was getting the lesser order compared to. In fact, they have splitted up to 15 bidders. So there should be a certain quantum of splitting. How many bidders you will consider for splitting, and what could be the rate, differential rate, L1, L2? Because the first criteria is that you should be giving maximum to L1. Then what could be the differential rate? So some of the organization has made a very robust splitting clause, because splitting you need very high requirement of goods. Then you need to split the quantities. So it should be in inverse proportion to the rate quoted, but of course at the rate of L1. So but situation may come that if L1 rate is given to the L2, but L2 is not accepting L1 rate, so what could be the scenarios, what could be, how it will be decided? So that is called bucket filling method. So even bucket filling method, organizations have given L2 at higher than the L1 rate also. This is just you read. इसके बाद एक और है, उसके बाद we'll break up. So this is a three years the case was not decided, because it so happens that you don't have capex is not permitting you are not having, so there is a budget constraint, so the case was kept at it is. But the bidder who are participating, they are knowing everything that. So somehow after change of management, one instruction came that this case is to be decided. So they have decided this case. And the bidder on Suomoto that has given a letter that now old specification on which you have tendered, it has met end of life. So I will be giving you a upgraded version of this. So it was then it was revised, what are the requirements and other things. And the committee decided. They have given the finance member of this committee said that price of all IT equipment has come down, and there are so many foreign and other portal also. They would be saying that drastically IT products prices have come down. However, the INR of with respect to USD has depreciated, so cost of rupees is depreciated. So what has happened? The TEC deliberated on the proposal made by L1. So suo motu letter has become your tender document file. So can you accept the suo motu letter of the vendor? Okay, vendor is free to give you a letter. Then you would be deliberating in a different fashion. So they have considered. They have clubbed the phrase tender also. They have placed the order after negotiation with L1. This is of maybe 100 crore case. And complaint has been lost, mentioning that transparency has been compromised. And fairness in decision making was not seen as natural justice to all bidder who purchased the tender documents were not given and otherwise. So this is a food for thought that whether it is a procedural or administrative lapse or there is a gross violation of public procurement procedures. Case has not yet been decided, but this is what the case has been decided. But this case, after complaint, what to be fate of this case. So this is the scenarios. In these scenarios, your vigilance officials works, and then their recommendation come to the commission, and then it is deliberated. Not only that, in fact, this is the high value case. Higher officials are involved, board level officials are there. So this is deliberated. So think over. Not yet decided. So another case is, this is the last case. Two-packet system. Technical bids were evaluated, but price bid were not opened within the validity. This is a red flag. They had asked validity for 6 months. They have technically evaluated within 2 months. Fine. So they have technically qualified bidders. Two bidders were declared technically suitable. But after that, they didn't even. In earlier case, they opened the price bid. In this case, they have not opened the price bid because they were getting, the tender evaluation committee was getting the instruction that now we should get the price bid opened, but the approving authority has not given the instruction. So he was giving the order that please present this case again. One presentation took place, another presentation took place. After that, within maybe 3 days or 7 days, I don't remember, the validity expires. Once validity expires in any tender case, that creates a big problem. So whatever validity you have asked, you have got the offer, please try to hurry up for decision. If you want to close it, please close it. Now, after expiry of validity, technical qualified bidder were asked to. So naturally, when you are deciding the case, you would be asking the bid validity extension. So the L2 or the bidder, L1, L2, there is no question. So the bidder, one bidder extended, another bidder didn't extend. They have considered this now as a resultant single tender, and they have decided. Higher authority, they have put up the case, and then higher authority, in fact, this is board level decision. They have said that there is a GFR provision, there is a manual provision that resultant single tender. So resultant single tender, they have stretched to this after not extending the validity by one bidder, and then the bidder which didn't extend the validity, that made a complaint. And so this case has been decided. So this is against the fair, and this is also high value case. Wrong interpretation of GFR provision has been considered. So the mitigating measure is what? This is very simple, that bid validity, please decide the case. So very simple, but you have done in this fashion, and that created a problem. Many officials are in trouble. So these are the situations, a few situations, but just considering all these cases studies, these are the reckoner for the improvement. So one should avoid such situations also. In fact, those who are at the higher level, they should also avoid these situations. So this is the last case. Now,
That's the last case. Ideally, it should have been retendered.
yes. Yes, everybody is, whosoever you ask, they are saying, but this is a high value. Now you can see the board level officials explanation, everything has been obtained. But they are saying that I am in the board, so I have been put up in this fashion. I have not gone beyond that. I have been put up as a single resultant tender, that's why board has decided in this fashion. That should not be the case, because I am allowing you to pass the validity. Other organizations, so these are the lessons learned. So have all this type of regulatory framework from the policies, manuals, then institutional framework and procedural operations, and then accountability and integrity of and transparency in the public procurement processes. If you have all those things, then there should not be any problem in any procurement, because procurement is not, this is to be done, because there is no respite that you are not going to do the procurement, but you follow the framework. And this could be, you have updated manuals, have a checklist for so many things, training and awareness workshop related to the public procurement like this. So regularly you have so your madam is conducting this, so this is a good thing that we are interacting and we are getting the feedback also. Identify the risk, red flags and mitigation measures should be there, it should be discussed. In some of the organizations after this class, there is made a group also, and they are coming up with certain solutions that this could be done, because everything is not fixed, it's getting changed also. Then of course this is considered as a sensitive posting, so after training, and there should be those who are working in the sensitive sections, they should be rotated, they should be dealing with the other things job also. Okay, so this is the last slide, and thank you very much for taking a lot of time. So questions? Very boring and tiring also, isn't it? No, but it will be like this, but make it interesting also. You put yourself in this situation and then you decide. Because whenever case comes to our place also, we also discuss in this fashion. A lot of discussion takes place also. That what would be my role, what would have been done if I was a member of that tender committee, and so this is the situation based understanding. So these are the cases I have brought up. These are the very small cases, and there is a booklet also. The Central Vigilance Commission has many booklets, the pitfalls in public procurements, so one should go through it. There are many things that is there.
It was not boring, sir. It was very informative and interesting, and it clarified many of the doubts which were there in the officers engaged in public procurement. We are grateful to you, sir.
Thank you.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर। ज्ञान एक अथाह सागर है और उस सागर में से केवल एक बूंद थी जो भी आपके सामने यहाँ पर प्रस्तुत किया गया इस लंबे से सेशन में। ये सेशन बहुत ही इंफॉर्मेटिव था, बिल्कुल भी बोरिंग नहीं था। आई एम श्योर जो मैनेजमेंट ट्रेनिंग्स और पार्टिसिपेंट्स आज यहाँ पर इस सेशन को बहुत ध्यान से सुन रहे होंगे, उन्होंने अपने लिए एक उज्जवल भविष्य का चुनाव जरूर कर लिया है। Sir, you have enlightened us with the nitty-gritties and nuances of procurement, public procurement, and I'm sure the knowledge horizon of the participants has increased many folds, and in future they will be aware of the procedures and they will imply whatever they have learned here in this session, and they will avoid the irregularities in the procurement process moving forward. अपने व्यस्तता में से सर आपने कुछ बहुमूल्य समय निकालकर आज हम सभी से अपना ज्ञान साझा किया है। आपके इस बहुमूल्य समय के लिए हम IICM और कोल इंडिया लिमिटेड की ओर से अपना आभार व्यक्त करते हैं। मैं कार्यकारी निदेशक डॉक्टर कामाक्षी रमन से निवेदन करूंगी कि वे स्टेज पर आएं और आज का समय आपके हृदय में सदैव के लिए अंकित रहे, इसी हेतु हमारी तरफ से एक स्मृति चिन्ह सर को प्रदान करें और हमारी कृतज्ञता को व्यक्त करें। आप सभी से निवेदन करूंगी कि तालियों की गड़गड़ाहट से साथ दें। A pinch of gratitude. First of all, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to Shri Ashok Kumar Sir, Chief Technical Examiner, Central Vigilance Commission, for taking out time from his busy schedule and sharing his insights here. Thereafter, I would like to extend our heartfelt thanks to CVO CIL Shri Brijesh Kumar Tripathi Sir, who is the main architect in this program. And he has also attended the session and shared his valuable input. Thank you so much, sir. A special thanks to Shri S.K. Sinha, sir, who was present here early in the morning, CVO CMPDIL. I am deeply grateful to our Executive Director, IICM, Dr. Kamakshi Raman, for unwavering support. And without her inputs and guidance, this program would not have been possible. I would thank Shri P.D. Sharma, sir, Executive Director, Materials and Contracts, Coal India Limited, for his continuous guidance and support in organizing these valuable sessions. Finally, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to the entire team IICM, on stage, off stage, background and everywhere, for all the arrangements, and last but not the least, to the dear participants who have been hearing this session out very patiently. Thank you so much. To the management trainees, we will be meeting at 2:30 for next session here in this auditorium itself. To the participants of this program, to the participants of marathon program, you all are requested to assemble in Anand Hall on 2nd floor. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone.